Here and here we go. Okay, so we are live now. This is Monday night at 6:30, and we're going to talk about detoxification. Of course, when I talk about detox, I mean the lymphatic system, the body's sewer system, the body's main immune system. This is the key to health, in my view. So once we get the lymphatic system, the sewer system cleaned, we are on the road to Wellville. And tonight I have a very special guest. He is a fellow detox specialist who was trained by Dr. Morse, like myself, and he's a personal friend of Dr. Morse. And he's also a raw food chef, and his name is Steve Factor, of course. A lot of you already know him. He needs no introduction. He's in the kitchen right now preparing some food he's going to show you. So it's just such a great, here he comes with us. He's a bit crazy tonight. I got to warn you guys. He's
I'm a bit crazy tonight. Excuse me?
He's a wild man. So what do we got? Oh, look at this. Oh, what is this, Steve?
Well, you just had the carpe Caesar. That's my Caesar salad. Rodonculus.
The Rodonculus Caesar salad.
Oh, let me get that closer to. Let me see how close we can get.
That's pretty good there. Okay.
They want to maybe see the capers.
All right. So Steve's. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's good right there. Okay. So what's in that, Steve?
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that in a bit.
All right.
With the 7-day pure energy cleanse, but this is dinner.
So what a super treat. He also made a raw tiramisu. Tiramisu. Okay, all right. So, anyways, all his food is really great. You know, one of the things that I've run into when you're eating high fruit. Here, I'll move over. That's good. Okay, you're there. Bitsy is here too. Say hi, Bitsy. Hey. There's Bitsy. I know Bitsy's got a fan club too. All right. So I know, yeah. One of the things, you know, it's easy to say, well, if I go high fruit, I go high raw, I'm going to get all this great health, which is true. But, you know, staying on it is the problem, you know, for a lot of people. I mean, we're so indoctrinated. I mean, you know, I grew up eating Fruit Loops and Cheerios and all those things and all those, you know, those addictive flavors. But, you know, when you go raw, you know, your choice goes way down. I can remember when I actually went high fruit, I was, what am I going to eat, you know, in live living food? So my menu really shrunk. And Steve is such a great guy for being the crazy guy that he is. He's inventive. So he comes up with all these wonderful things. I mean, he went right into my freezer and saw I had some figs.
Frozen figs.
Frozen figs. So he made a frozen fig pudding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Figgy Bliss pudding, I like to call it. Figgy Bliss.
So it was a flavor that I never had. So he made a pudding out of my figs. So just wonderful. So anyways, he's a master at that. He's very inspiring. And I'm just so happy he drove up here to Ventura to be with us and to share. But, you know, the idea of this channel is to really help you guys heal, okay? We want to give you the inspiration. We want to give you the guidance. We want to give you the, you know, the mojo to carry through this, you know, to get on the high raw, to get on the high fruit, and to enjoy yourselves, you know, to feel the power and the glory of this incredible amount of energy that you're going to feel and this lightness of the body. There's a quote from Dr. Morse that I wanted to read you guys, and he said, you should never know that you're carrying around a human body. If the human body is healthy, you will not know that you have one. You'll only know that you have one when you have obstructions in the body where you're getting resistance to the flow of energy, and that's by Dr. Robert Morse. So basically, if we can keep the lymphatic system moving and clean, right, and free of acids and obstructions, we're not going to even know we have a body. We're going to feel so light, so energized. And this is how Steve helps us here. So Steve, take it away for a bit. I want you to talk about, you know, what exactly is the pure energy cleanse that you've developed to help people, you know, transition to raw to high fruit, to get on a system where they can stick with it. Because, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, once you guys get cleansed from this high fruit and this high raw food down to a certain level, you really can't go back. It's really hard to go back. So, you know, guys like Steve can keep it interesting and keep it, you know, so you won't fall off the wagon. And, you know, I still have my cheats, and sometimes I pay a heavy price. So the more I can stay on the raw wagon, the better. So anyway, Steve, yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got started in this, you know.
Yes.
How you met Dr. Morse, you know, what your healing journey was,
yes,
what it's about,
yes,
and how you became inspired to help everybody.
And how I became to be petting Bitsy on the tummy on this live video broadcast. She's such an adorable, oh my gosh. I could just go on. Okay, this is going to be televised later. We're going to pause now while I pet the dog. Okay, so, well, one, I just want to say thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure.
And thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
And the way you do it.
Thank you.
And the way now that you're doing these Monday night live calls, and your numbers are growing, which means the numbers of people that are getting Dr. Morse's message of moving the lymphatic system, the healing, where real healing begins.
Right.
And this is such a key point because everyone's going for the colon, or they're going for the liver cleanse. And,
right.
You know, all of those things need to be cleansed.
Right.
But we must start with the lymph. The lymph and moving that lymph. Dr. Morse, move that lymph. He's like a football player. He's like, move that lymph, and we're going to kick those asses out. We just love Dr. Morse. That's how we know each other, really. And at Whole Foods, I was doing a demo and having my monthly guests, and one of them was Dan McDonald.
Right.
And then you came to see that, and you got to hear me talk about Dr. Morse. You got to hear Dan talk about Dr. Morse. And then you came back next week when I was doing it alone, like I usually do, and I talked about Dr. Morse. And then you signed up. You got all excited. You were like, he was asking me all these questions. How about this, Steve? How about that? And now look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, Steve was the first person that actually mentioned the name Dr. Morse. And I said, who? He says, no, you got to look into this guy, okay? He's the teacher that taught me. And then Dan McDonald told me to look into Dr. Morse, and then another person completely separate from them told me too. So I looked at it as a sign from the universe, if you will, that I was being led to Dr. Morse. And sure enough, when I listened to him, I just immediately connected. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the start. That was a little over 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago,
yeah,
something like that. So,
about that.
Yeah. So the rest is history, so they speak. So
much so. And I mean, it's so awesome to be in Dr. Morse's presence, and you haven't got to experience that yet, to actually be in living presence. And some of you out on the YouTube world know what it's like to be in his presence and like to feel that beam of light. And many of you, as I have, just started to cry in his presence. And it's just like, you know, Dr. Morse, I could feel it now. And it's like, just because in this world of pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical cartel and the medical mafia, and then not to say that there's not a need for medicine when we're in the emergency state, but for day-to-day living and preventative medicine and true healing comes from nature. And so this man is coming into an allopathic world where there are people dying, people are getting taken out.
Yes.
And he has come in and said, nature, you don't need to do all of that. You can come to nature. And it's like, wow, you know, for someone to have the balls to do that in this kind of world. And so we get to have, we're either the privilege of following him and being like, okay, this is not like quackery or something. We've seen it work. We've seen his stuff work. I've seen my eyes change color. I've seen so many health conditions reverse, so many people, or Dr. Morse wouldn't be big. He wouldn't be as big as he is and continuing to expand once he got himself on YouTube.
Yeah, just even getting that fruit is so powerful.
So powerful.
It seems like, wow, I'm going to eat this fruit and it's going to give me all this healing energy and all, you know, and just change me. It's true. It really is true.
So much so that the fruit, I mean, when we go into like the different foods, you know, we're like down here, we're like in the processed food world, and like up here we're like in the consciously fed raised meats, whatever that means, before we kill it, you know. And then we come up here and like we start to get maybe in the quinoas and stuff like that. And then we come up to like the vegetables, and then we come into the dark green leafy vegetables. And then we come up here. Now we're in Fruitville. Now we're top of the mountain. We're talking the most hydrating, the highest electricity. And by the way, you do the show like an hour usually.
I do an hour, yeah. Sometimes we go over a little bit. You know, I try to get through all the questions, yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to go over a lot of it today. We had a lot of people already talk to us in day, sending private messages saying that, like, we can't wait for this show. And I'm so glad.
Look at this. I love Dr. Robert Morse already. So,
yes. I mean, it is. It is so much so. Dr. Morse for president. Let's really get this country going.
Absolutely.
Move that lymph country.
It's so simple, you guys. That's really the beauty of it. It's so simple. You know, we're just here as sort of you know, cheerleaders basically to get you, you know, and give you inspiration and keep you on the path. And Steve, through his cooking, or not cooking, excuse me, his food preparation, uncooking, yeah, that he's given that extra bit of inspiration. And he went to a great raw food school. What was the name of that?
You're talking Matthew Kenny Culinary Academy.
Matthew Kenny. And they specialize in raw?
And specialize in gourmet raw.
Wow.
I mean, there, it was really amazing because I come from the smoothies. You know, let's whip up a banana and a cup of frozen blueberries or something, call it a day.
Right.
And then I got to learn about like how to layer food and textures of food,
right,
and dehydrate and things like that are not cleansing foods,
right,
but they are day-to-day foods. And one of the things that I love doing is being the bridge to the masses to bring them into Fruitville, to get them finally to the top of the mountain. But not everybody wants to get on fruit, and fruit is serious business. So Matthew Kenny and his culinary genius comes up with these plates. I got to learn how to make food, and then I got to learn how to plate food. And it's like, here you go, ta-ta. And when people have my food, no matter what, I don't care if they're meat eaters, I don't care if they never like fruits or vegetables or anything, they have the food that I make, and they're like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And
wow.
you had the Caesar today.
Well, we started off with the fig pudding.
Oh, the fig pudding, yes.
which is amazing.
Probably the best of them all when it comes down to it, as simplicity. But yes.
Man. What was in it?
Figs, and there was also figs.
Figs and figs, okay.
And I think we put after that a little bit more figs.
A little bit.
So I think there's a fig on top.
So 3 ingredients, you know, and it was wonderful. But yeah, it was. They're frozen figs, slightly dehydrated. You get them at Trader Joe's. I think they're $3 or $4 a bag, and they're wonderful. And yeah, he just saw them in the freezer and just whipped that up. So that was the sort of the appetizer.
Yes.
And then we went into the Caesar salad with a cashew dressing, was it?
Yes, and we wanted to make sure a good 15, 20, 30 minutes went through so the figs could kind of do their thing. And this is really key in food combining. A lot of times people have fruit for dessert, which is the worst time to ever have fruit, because fruit is the fastest car. Oh. See, when I teach the 7-day pure energy cleanse, which I do want to talk about, 7 days we teach about the fastest cars first. This is why we do fruit in the morning. It just goes shoo.
Yes. Then fruit till noon is my motto.
At least till noon, for sure. At least till noon.
And that'll transition you so well.
So much so. And then I start to add the greens a little bit with fruit. Sometimes a little green smoothie, sometimes a green soup, sometimes just maybe a little like non-fat salad.
Do you go 20 minutes after eating the fruit at least?
At least 20.
Okay.
It's usually just like a few fruit meals maybe, and then I'll have like a green smoothie, or I'll have a salad maybe with not too much fat in the dressing, because I save my fats for night. That's when I do for sure I'll do a salad or some kind of vegetable-y thing, and then the fats.
I just want to add something, is that my experience is that I'm doing fruit all day, right? I'm so energized that I need to start slowing down a little bit.
Yes.
Or I'm not going to get to sleep.
Well, that's why I do the way I do it.
Yeah.
In the 7-day pure energy cleanse, is that salad, we want to come down a little bit and have some of those essential fats. Right. So the 7-day pure energy cleanse, I just want to kind of go through this triangle,
please,
if you will. Yeah. And so if I'm here, let's see, day 1, we and day 7 are similar. Day 2 and 6, we go up the mountain a little. 3 and 5 up a little more, and 4 Wednesday, middle of the week, top of the mountain, hump day, Wednesday. So we start on a Sunday and end on a Saturday. So the dressing, the salad that I just brought was from day 7. So it's not cashews, right? Well, that's not very cleansing. Okay, cashews aren't very cleansing, but it's for dinner. But this is the lead in and the lead out. See, the first day I have ranch dressing on my salad, another cashew-based thing for nighttime. It's like it's fruit in the day, and then we do a little green smoothie on days 1 and 7, and 2 and 6, and then we'll have like on day 1 and 7 a cashew dressing that's heavier, denser, more like cooked food that people are used to.
Why do you like the cashew so much?
Well,
yeah.
Bitsy doesn't want the cashew. Bitsy says, that's not top of the mountain. We're going to get to top of the mountain, Bitsy, okay? We're going to get to Wednesday in a second, but first we're going to talk a little more about cashews. Okay, so the cashews are simply the creamiest. And the Pure Energy Cleanse has the ability to vary things. Like if somebody wants to do an almond or a walnut or a cashew, I know. You want a cashew? No cashew, on top of the mountain. We're getting there. Okay, and so they're a little heavier. Now on days 2 and 6, we go up the mountain. We have salad again, but now it's an avocado dressing at night. Okay, and we have the green smoothie like in the middle of the day, like at noon. Okay, but now when we get to 3, 4, and 5, and by the way, this is a Dr. Morse approved, and he wanted me to take the green smoothies out of day 3, 4, and 5. I had him in 3 and 5, and he said, take them out. He goes, keep the top of the mountain a little more pure, because he doesn't like to mix so much the fruits and the greens. But I have found, and many others have found, that it's a good bridge, and this is a bridge to go to the top of the mountain. Yes. And so on days 3 and 5, we're doing more a soup now. So we're blending it more at night. And there's no green smoothies, fruit all day until a soup at night. And then day 4, top of the mountain, is fruit. It's fruit all day.
See, sometimes going if you were to say, come off a standard American diet and go into high fruit right off the bat, you could really do some damage. And I mean, you're going to kick up a lot of toxins, a lot of acids.
Yes.
You're going to get headachy, body achy. You're going to feel like crud, maybe even vomit. And, you're going to get diarrhea, all kinds of fun things. Some people really experience some heavy-duty healing crises. So what Steve is saying, he's trying to ramp you up and get you to the top, and do this kind of in an orderly way to help you, because we want you to be on this for a long time. After you get to Wellville, you're going to want to stay in Wellville.
Exactly.
We don't want you, we don't want you to check out of Wellville. We want you to stay there in Wellville, and you can't just do this cleansing and then go back to eating cheeseburgers.
Yes.
And remember, there are no cheeseburgers in Wellville or Paradise. So.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is like the Pure Energy Cleanse, there's that lead into the top of the mountain, and then the lead out, and hopefully into a new lifestyle where raw food, if not all of what you're eating, is at least most of it. And, I'll have some cooked here and there too, and I'll feel cooked afterwards. But I've done myself about 2.5, 3 years of like all raw.
100% raw?
Yeah, like I didn't even do like salt or garlic. I was like the total, like the natural hygienist, the old school, where they say if you can't make a mono meal out of it, leave it out completely. And so I come from that, and I could tell you that when I brought salt into my diet, and I'll tell you about salt in a second, and fats.
Salt is not considered part of the raw food, a pure 100% raw food?
Well, salt itself is not. See, raw food, real food, natural food is in its natural state. So the apple comes from the tree, that's the real food.
Yes.
But we start to put it into juice, it's no longer the thing, but it's pretty close. It's just a juice, so we want to be as close to possible as nature, and I was doing like total natural hygiene for a couple of years, and so now I teach at Whole Foods and all around. I even teach dogs like Mitzi and around the world that if we want to be healthy, we need to eat sugar, salt, and fat in abundance.
Hey, that's good news.
Abundance!
That's good news to everybody, I guess.
People are like, what the hell is this guy saying? Well, fruit is the sugar. Real sugar is fruit. Salt, which is really sodium, and all the other essential minerals come from, well, fruit definitely has it, but green leafy vegetables, sea vegetables.
Oh, so that's your natural salt.
That's the natural.
Sodium.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
sodium. The good
Right.
not the fast food iodized table salt. And then, but we might have some Himalayan rock salt or sea salt, but we don't need very much, so little. And I'm talking little, this is why I say sugar, salt, and fat. Sugar. Okay, so sugar is the fruit first, but then fats we want from avocados, nuts, and seeds. When we get enough of the real sugar, salt, and fat, we will crave the fake, processed, denatured, or cooked sugar, salt, and fat less.
Mm.
And the only reason why we want it is because we're not getting enough of it. So sometimes I have clients who say, Steve, I have such a sweet tooth, what do I do? And I tell them to eat more sugar.
Mm.
And they're like, what? I thought I had to watch a glycemic index or a sugar gram or some kind of number that man made up. And I tell them there's almost 9 million species on planet Earth. Only one knows all the numbers, and only one is in a health crisis. So maybe we don't need to know so much about the numbers. Maybe we could just come back from our brains. Dr. Morse always talks about intellectualism and coming into our hearts and coming back into our intuition and start to feel it.
Yes.
This is why I have so much fun. This is why I'm ridiculous. It's because I feel it and I enjoy life and I'm like on fruit. You want to get on drugs? Get on fruit.
Oh man, that stuff is crazy, right? It's just you just high fruit just get you going, beaming. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. You actually want to look for ways to slow it down. So one thing I noticed when we ate his Caesar salad was the amount of dressing that he put on. And it really felt like I had a full meal there, Like right now I feel completely satiated,
Yes.
And but still energized, it not taking me down. I think if I would have had, a normal meal, like a cooked meal with that amount of fat in it, I would have felt pretty sluggish. But I feel good.
Yes.
Those are raw cashews, obviously, and all that fat is easily assimilated.
It is, and cashew is even questionably raw. Some will even question the rawness of cashews, and I'm not sure either. I know it's not necessarily a health food, but it is a transition food, and sometimes I'll make things for people and myself that might be a little dehydrated, like in a dehydrator, or have a little of the garlic or the salt or something like that, as bridge foods. But we know, both of us, that when we're like on the fruit and we're just keeping it simple, like then we're going to the top of the mountain. And it's really important what you said about being careful with too much fruit too soon. Yes. This is why the 7-day Pure Energy Cleanse. This is also a model where you might want to hang out on day 1 and 7. And there's lots of recipes we have, day 1 and 7, for a while, for a month or two. And then, or maybe 1, 2, 6, and 7, day 1, 2, 6, and 7. And then kind of hang at the 3 and the 5 range a little bit, and then hit the 4. Gotcha. You might not want to do it this is customizable to everyone, and it's more to give a microcosm of what is possible when you lead in from your old way into nature, and when you want to come out of the cleansing period into the maintaining life period. Right. Which is key, because a lot of people who get into the raw world, they're about cleanse, 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 cleanse. And there's detox, 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 and it's just so much stripping. Right. But then what about regular life? And how do you want to live that? Right. And Dr. Morse isn't eating all fruit. I know that. Sure. And I also know that he had a time where he had 6 months of oranges, and a lot of you know that story. Yes. He had trouble staying on the planet, he said. Right. He said he was just so out there. One thing I find myself dealing with is that, when I want to come off the fruit and I'll go through periods, when I'm feeling really good and I'm not really cleansing or any of that I'll want to look for some ways to have a cheat meal. And I want to feel like, wow, I've gotten to like taste some things. I've gotten to experiment with some foods, and not feeling left out. Because, there's a wide range of great tasting foods that I stay away from now. But, it's great to have things that you can go and still feel like you're getting to experiment and have these little things. And I just got back from skiing, and I was driving back from Mammoth, and I took my daughter to this little restaurant at a place called Bishop. And I went for the veggie burger, and this is 2 veggie burgers in a row that have hurt me. And I ate half of the veggie burger, and it took me 2 days to really feel better about it. It had a lot of beans in it, the black beans in the veggie burger. So, I got sucked into that, and not this even a big deal. You think a half a veggie burger, what's that going to do?
but you throw a few sweet potato fries on top of that, and anyways, I got hurt a little bit, but it's great to have things you can go to that aren't going to hurt you, where you still feel like you got to savor some things. And Steve, by the way, he gets hired to go to people's homes and throw big dinner parties, doing his raw food, preparation. So, experimenting and all that. We're waiting for his cookbook, by the way. So,
Yes.
And I just want to mention, you can actually sign up for his Pure Energy Cleanse at pureenergyfactor.com. Right?
Yes, yes.
Pureenergyfactor.com.
Friend me on Facebook too. That's where I'm most active, and we do have the Pure Energy Cleanse in beta mode still. And I'm working on the videos. Actually, now I have a new place. I can talk about that a little bit later. But to actually shoot them in video format. In beta form, it is on Facebook in a private group where all the recipes are there, and then all the audio recordings of me for each of the 7 days. So I want you to know that you could have that, and that the support. And when I was looking, I see some stuff coming in, and my mind went to this one person that just came in, and I want to address that because it's important for a lot of people here. And that is, my raw vegan first year anniversary is May 21st. It's been a tough healing journey, and for some reason I've lost my mojo. Blows my mind because I was so focused. I don't want to go downhill. Help.
This is S, by the way. Hi, S. S has come on the show a few times, so
yes.
Thank you for joining the community, S. So go ahead, Steve.
Well, that is such a big deal, what she just said, because losing the mojo, meaning she lost her inspiration. And we need to be inspired.
Yes.
Regularly. I'm a coach, okay, and there's lots of coaches out there and detox specialists that help people do this. And sometimes the way we get into raw, we're on fire for the first 30 days or 60 days or whatever it could be, and then we go into it's not that fun anymore. Sometimes it happens for people just before their 1 year.
Right.
Let me tell you something. A lot of this, from cooked food sobriety, I know this one, and that this is this. You're coming up on your 21st, or on the 21st, your first anniversary. Number one, this is the same time of year that your life was probably not doing so good. So now you are remembering it, you're seeing the sun in the same way, it might be triggering you in the same way, that you are kind of you're back here again. And for some people, before they got into raw, before they came to paradise, they were in hell. I don't know your story exactly, but for a lot, if it was me, it was hell. And so, yeah, so we come from hell, and then we're reminded around our 1 year. We kind of get a little weird around the 1 year. That's okay. But to keep the inspiration going, definitely friend me on Facebook, because I put posts up every day. Keep the Facebook going, keep the YouTube videos going, and keep the input of people who are excited about raw. We're actually putting living foods in it. Life force energy comes through us. And we have choices to have that, or to say, take that life force energy and then put heat on it and change the chemistry, and then it's no longer life force energy. And to consume that, and to be around that. Keep the faith. You may want to get your feet on the ground. And I want to talk about that too in the 7-day Pure Energy Cleanse. There's something called the 7 holistic health practices. You may want to take a little more time in the sun. You may want to take a little more time to breathe. This is all 7 holistic health practice things that I teach. And I coach. And so you may want to get a coach. You may want me as a coach, and you may want someone as a coach to keep you on target, because there's one thing to know it all, not it all, but to know enough. But then what do we do with that after the notoriety of the newness? It wears off.
Yes. Yes.
How do you deal with a marriage after the honeymoon?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When the day-to-day comes in, that's
Yes.
why it's good to have different inventions, different little recipes, different routines, things like that. And to get inspiration from others. That's why I'm doing this every week as well. And Steve's posting every day, some inspiration things. This is pretty common, I imagine.
It is.
Even though we're feeling great, we still want to You know?
I coach people all the time, and I always see this because we're human beings,
Yeah.
and this happens. And so the question is, what do we do when we're down here? How do we act when we're up here? You know, a lot of people are very arrogant up here, and a lot of people down here like don't do their best. I know because I've been both of those things,
Yeah.
and I've been their opposites through healing. And so we get to see people through mirrors. We're all reflections of one another. We get to like see the like what foods we put in, and we get to find out why are we not inspired anymore to love ourselves. Why are we not? What is missing in the love? How can we ignite that love again?
Right. Right.
And
True.
that's why pure energy is on this planet. I think that this is what I want to try to get to people is pure energy. Pure energy. People ask, what is pure energy? What does that mean? Other than I'm pure energy Steve. I'm the pure energy chef. And this is pure energy Bitsy.
she's got her fake chicken here. Oh boy, she's getting crazy.
Lay off the chicken.
Steve, I have an important question for you.
Yes, yes.
Let's say that you know, someone comes to us and they have a very serious illness, you know, and they really need to get on high fruit like ASAP. Like, you know, the top of the mountain, which is 100% grapes, is the highest healing you can get to. 100% organic grapes would be the highest. So if you're really suffering and you really need to do this, you know, how, you know, a lot of people when they get to that stage, if they're that sick, they're probably very toxic too. So how do you get them up there quickly without getting them, you know, to be so you know, scared because they're kicked in the healing crisis that they don't want to do it, and they want to leave this and go back to conventional ideas.
Well, yes, those are the hardest things to deal with because it's like there's only a certain amount of time, and yet they want to remain with their ways. And they're not sure about straight fruit or to go up the mountain that quickly and that fast and to promote a healing crisis.
Right.
We may want to kind of ease into it. So
do you keep them raw completely and just?
Well, first of all, it depends on them.
Yeah.
Always. It's like they have to have the willingness to want to go to the top of the mountain.
Right.
And I also help them, let them know what they can expect. And we got to know what to expect in one of his sub-chapters of what to expect during detoxification.
Right.
This is, by the way, the Bible. This is actually my health Bible.
That's it.
This is it. And so
if you don't have this book, I would get a copy of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I keep it on my coffee table here, just always referencing it. So many great things in there. A lot of inspiration too, by the way.
Yes, so much so. I mean, I read it often, and even just a section at a time.
Yes.
And there's just so much to it, and it's so simple. And that's what we love about Dr. Morse is the simplicity that he brings it back to nature, brings it back to the body's own healing mechanism. Let's get out of its own way.
Right.
Our own way, we get out of our own way, and the healing happens.
Yes.
And one of the ways we can get out of our own way is by eating human food.
Put in the chemistry that you're meant to take in and watch what happens.
Yes, you know? Yes, so much so. So, real quick, I want to talk about the 7 holistic health practices.
Okay.
Because we talked a little bit about that, and like a lot of times people are doing healing. They really want to heal, and yet they are they're talking about food, and that's all the conversation is about is what food.
Right.
And you're eating for maybe an hour collectively a day at one time through the day. And what are you doing the other 23 hours? And so this is key in healing because the basic premise of healing is rest. Detoxification is rest. Really, if we rest, the body does its work. When we put in a big whopper and double whopper in and we put it down our pipes, the rest is over. And the emergency coming down, the white blood cell count goes up, the emergency happens, all hands on deck, we got to go boom and hit this thing. And what's really happening is we've stopped the detoxification, the cleansing process.
Yes.
And so cleansing, we know each other because of the power of cleansing. And we really got to watch the fruit. But to come back to the 7 holistic health practices that have nothing to do with food. Days 1 and 7 are sun and earth. We talk about the sun and the earth. And so the sun, we need to eat more sun food as we're eating it. The food we eat is really sun food. It's cooked by the sun. It is grown by the sun. Photosynthesis, the power of the sun.
Yeah.
Chlorophyll, liquid sunshine. All of the stuff that comes without the sun, we're done. Okay, then we go into the earth. Now, by the way, we want to get some more sunshine. We want to get out in the sun. You have a really good looking tan. He's got like, you know, Oxnard man. He's living out here and he's like got the beach near him and he's got that tan.
I try to get 20 minutes a day. You know, that's what's sort of recommended. So that, you know, and there's things in the sun that we don't even know about. You know, we're supposed to get sun on our skin. So if you can get out there, and even if you're in a cold environment, you know, I found that if you get into a windless area, even if it's 45, 50 degrees out, if you're in a still area and there's sun coming in, it's actually quite warm. You can still sit in the sun even on a cold day.
Yes.
If you pick the right spot.
Yes, yes, for sure. The sun is such a big deal, and it's a neurological bath too.
Yes.
If you've been indoors all day, like in an air conditioner, you go out into the sun, you're gonna get this like chill because it soothes the neurological system. That's the power of the sun. And so without the sun, you know, there's no life. We're dead. If the sun went away, we'd all be gone. And so the power of the sun, this big battery in the sky, 93 million miles away, going bam on Mother Earth, we could start to get into it. And so one of the keys is when to be in the sun and how to start your sun program. So this is very Mayan kind of thinking, but if your shadow is longer than your height, then it's a good time to be in the sun.
Okay.
Because the sun's kind of here or kind of here. But if
so you don't want to be a mad dog and an Englishman and go out in the noonday sun.
You don't want to be the sun up here, straight above, and you have no shadow, or very little shadow. So just wait till it's longer than your height, and then that's a good time to start slowly in. And one of the things about getting this vitamin D that we know about, and this is like the beauty of Dr. Morse, is like
the real vitamin D, by the way, not the stuff in a bottle.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Exactly, exactly. I didn't mean from vitamin D from the sun. Is it raises our calcium absorption. And so calcium absorption, some people have calcium deficiency and they're sitting there taking these calcium things and they could just be going out in the sun and they're taking these calcium things and the phosphorus and the, what's the other one? It goes down when the calcium goes up, magnesium. And so that's why they have CalMag now.
And they end up stoning up too. You end up taking those calcium supplements, and if you're not utilizing the calcium properly, you start to stone up in the body. You start to get arthritis and things like that. So you get calcium deposits all through the body. So, so that's a problem.
Yes. Okay. Well, so the sun. So we want to get more in the sun. And when we go to the earth on day 7, this is now we want to get barefoot. We have these things called streets and concrete sidewalks and shoes that have cut us off from the mother. And we want to like get connected again to the mother that is a living organism with electrons that can neutralize the positive ions and gives off a negative charge so that we can balance. So for instance, let's just say this is a phone, which it's not, it's the remote control. We have this phone here and all of a sudden I step into, barefoot into a Vancouver forest. Well, the electromagnetic radiation just went down. Now I put my shoes on or go on a concrete sidewalk, the electromags just went up. And that has nothing to do with anything other than we are now plugged into the earth. So we need to go hug a tree more, touch nature, get grounded, walk barefoot in a forest. Anyone who's ever done it knows that if you do it, you cannot not feel better.
Yeah, we're supposed to be grounded. We're supposed to walk around in our bare feet and touch the earth. we're designed for that. So we lose touch with that. And David Wolf
Yes.
has actually sells grounding pads, right?
Yes,
You can
yes,
sit in front of your computer screen and not
yeah,
get hit with the electromagnetic forces of that screen if you're
yes,
grounded. And like Steve says with a
yes.
cell phone too. You can actually make them. I should put up a YouTube video on it. You basically get some
Mm-hmm.
cord and a three-pronged plug, and you take out the two prongs on top and just have the grounding prong, and because every house is grounded, and then
Mm-hmm.
you just clip that with some alligator clips to a piece of screen, and if you touch that with any part of the body, you're instantly grounded. You can make these pads for $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll put something up about that. And I have one under my bed, underneath the sheets there, and so I ground at night.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I have one at my computer
Yes.
and all that. So
Yes, me
yeah, they're
too.
very cheap to make. So
Great. Well, yeah. So, okay. So if we go up the mountain a little bit on day 2 and 6, we talk about water and air. So the whole thing with what we're eating here, and when we go up to day 4, is all about hydration, which humans are mostly dehydrated. And dehydration leads to acidosis, and acidosis leads to dehydration. So we want to get more hydrated. We want to get more wet, more water.
what do you feel? I get a lot of people asking me, they say, well, I'm hydrated. I drink alkaline water all day. I get the Kangen water and all that.
Yes.
I tell them, well, you got to hydrate down to the interstitial level, in between the cells, and it's not really about the water that you're taking in.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
For sure. Well, one thing, the company that you mentioned, one, it's not natural water. They have done something to it. And everybody's like, we're so acid, so let's get alkaline. Let's go to 7.5.
Right.
Let's go to 8.5.
So high alkaline water,
Let's go to
people feel
9.5.
it's going to balance out their body internally,
Right.
make it more alkaline.
Right.
And Steve and I are concentrating on the lymphatic system, so we're not buying that.
Yes, exactly. So they've stripped nature a little bit to make it 9.5, 10.5, 13.5. Let's get so alkaline we could like go to the other end of the world. And it's like, that's not the answer. Even though we're acidic, and sometimes it's a short-term answer for a lot of people, like that company. But what we want is spring water, natural water, and we're not even going to need that much of it when we're eating our water. And this is where fruit comes in. This is, you start to eat your water, and like Mark was saying, it's not just this is a slow delivery of hydration as nature intended, and we stay hydrated on high fruit. If there's anything you're going to know about me and Mark, we're going to say fruit, and then we're going to say fruit, and after that we may say fruit again.
I hear that the water in the fruit actually transfers into the cells, goes through the cell wall much easier than any kind of water, even spring water. So the hydration that you're going to get from fruit is, some say 3 to 5 times as much, per ounce as drinking the spring water.
Yes.
And even the structured spring water, which we can talk about. But yeah, no, it's amazing how little water I drink when I'm high fruit, especially citrus.
Yes.
And I have a nice big watermelon sitting in the kitchen, so we'll have that later, right? So.
No, because that'll be fruit after the fact.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna ferment.
Okay, so no, we're processing cashews, I guess.
We're processing. We'll have watermelon in the morning, or you'll have it in the morning. And so so more water, more hydration through this, and then air. Okay, air. We want to breathe more.
Now this is day 3 and 6.
Day 2 and 6.
Day 2 and 6.
We're going up the mountain, day 2 and 6, and so we have water and air. And so we need more oxygen, deeper breaths. We need to focus on the number 2 nutrient, oxygen, for human beings. We'll tell you what number 1 is in a second.
So we just focus on breathing on day 2 and 6.
Yeah, well, this is for every day, but I teach about it on those days.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
good.
So
good
I kind of like to keep this top of the mountain kind of thing as
so we can ground, we can breathe, we can hydrate every day.
Right.
You're just teaching it. Okay.
Yeah, we teach it on each of those days. And so when we go to hydration, breathing air, we also want to get around a lot of plants, and Dr. Morse talks about that in the Bible. He talks about it in the Detox Miracle Source book. He talks about that having plants around the house, and humans and plants have a symbiotic relationship because humans exhale carbon dioxide, which the plants want.
Right.
And the plants give off the oxygen, which the humans want.
Right.
And so Anne Wigmore, for instance, the wheatgrass queen,
yes,
she used to sleep with like wheatgrass trays near her head.
Wow.
And it's something that I want to do too, and get more plants around and just get more of that. Like, go sleep in a forest and see how you wake up, provided there's no bears around.
Have you ever noticed, like, when you go camping, that you wake up in the morning, but before, or just as the sun is rising, and there's like a sweetness to the smell of the oxygen.
Yes.
It smells so fresh and sweet, and
yes.
the minute that sun comes up, you get those first rays, and I feel so energized.
Yes.
And I want to take my shoes off and just walk around,
yes.
know, the forest and all that. It's just some of the, I just feel the best in that moment.
Yes.
Those fleeting little sun up and sun down.
Right.
You know?
And I will
especially
say,
the sun up, though. The sun up has a magic to it.
Totally. The sun up, it's the new beginning, all of that. And I'll say it's not just because of that, but because you've been connected to nature all night long. And so we wake up with a little bit of different perception. Like, life is all about perception, not what we see or hear, but what we perceive we see or hear.
Yeah.
And so if you have like a really good sleep because you've been grounded and you've been in nature and you've been away from electromagnetic radiation for a little bit, and you wake up a little bit more ready to receive that air, to receive that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this is key. Raw foods can actually change our perceptions. So,
and then you have that fruit in the morning while you're out camping instead of the bacon and eggs and all that stuff, and you're really gonna.
Oh my God! Yes. I mean, it's just a matter of how high do you want to go, and we like to go to the top of the mountain. The higher we get, the better the view.
Very good.
Yeah. So we have the sun and the earth. We have water and air. And we go up to days 3 and 5, and now we're talking about movement and stillness. So movement is like, woo! We want to move around. We want to get with Mitzi. Hey, Bitsy, excuse me. I had a dog named Mitzi. And we want to get with Bitsy, and we want to play with the dogs and the babies.
To move lymph.
To move lymph, and just to move our endorphins, get those activated in our bodies. As humans, we're too sedentary. With my clients, we dance. I dance with my clients on Skype sometimes. Absolutely, because we want to move around. A lot of times I talk about moving before eating, even if it's just a little like a woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Because athletes know that there is a 45-minute window, so to say, after exercise or after their workout where they absorb and utilize more of what they bring in. They bring in more protein at once, more of this, and so they start to time their delivery after their athletic endeavors because our bodies are in a heightened state. And so we want to have that heightened state because that's what kids do more. That's what animals do more. Human beings are more like... Yeah,
no, we're built to move. We really are. And you know, I was thinking about this. You know, people... They go to work for 8 hours, right? Then they get out of work and they take the elevator down to the car park, get in their car, they sit in the car for another 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Then they go home, they hang up their coat, they sit down to dinner, then they grab their dessert and sit in front of the TV, and then they go to sleep.
Yes.
And then they sleep all night, and then they get up and they sit at the breakfast table, and then they get in their car and do the same thing. So when are they actually moving?
Exactly.
Very little, right?
They're not. And
they're eating acid-forming foods,
right.
and they're just.
All of it is unnatural.
They're going to be great customers to the medical industrial complex.
Absolutely.
They're just feeding the system.
They're feeding the system, the boob tube, just
5 hours of TV a day is what people watch.
I haven't owned one in so long. I mean, it's just not part of like the thing anymore. But it's like so yes, we need to move around more.
Yeah.
And just move our bodies more and get a little more loose. And this is why yoga is so good. This is why people call it exercise. I like to call it play is so good. dancing is so good. It's so freeing because we want to create and really nurture that flow. That's all we are, is flow, with a lot of these little obstructions. And so we will want to clear those obstructions. So movement helps with that. We go to the other end on day 5, and there's stillness. As much as people don't move, they can't sit still. That doesn't make sense. They cannot sit like.
You're talking about meditation.
Yeah, they cannot. Stillness is all about meditation.
So you're talking about calming the mind too.
Calming the mind and settling down into it, and just like knowing that all is okay, and breathe into that space. And we need some more of this in our life too. And so this becomes key as well, to have points in the day where we settle down. Okay, so this is day 3 and day 5. Now we come to day 4, the top of the mountain, the end all, be all, to it all. More than any food.
We're at the peak. Okay.
We're at the peak.
All right.
More than any food you can ever eat. We're talking about the top of the mountain holistic health practice on the Pure Energy Cleanse, and that is the end all, be all, to it all. Love. Love, baby.
I thought you were going to say fruit, but
no, that's when we're talking about the food on the cleanse, but these are the practices. And if you notice, fruit was day 4, which may be one of love's greatest gifts to us, or the greatest symbol of love that Mother Nature has given us, or God, or whatever you believe, whatever that is.
It is truly an amazing gift.
It's an amazing gift, and it's so good for us on so many levels. You know, I work with people, and the big 3, no fruit, no, stay away from fruit, are cancer, candida, and diabetes. And when they work with me, you get fruit on especially those 3.
That is really the most amazing thing, is that diabetics actually do better on fruit than they do on vegetables.
Yes.
That just doesn't make any sense, you know, due to the programming we've all been indoctrinated to.
Yes.
But it's what is happening. You know, and at the clinic, at Dr. Morse's clinic, this happens all the time. People, their glycemic numbers start coming, blood sugar numbers come down. The minute they go back on the vegetables, they go right back up. So
straight up, and this is key. And the reason for this is that fructose that is in fruit requires no insulin to get into a cell, but glucose and lactose do. Fruit requires no insulin, but the problem with fruit with a lot of people is that they're messing with fruit. They're mixing the fruit with starches. They're mixing the fruit with complex carbohydrate, mixing the fruit with the proteins, mixing it with
yogurt. No.
Dairy. They're mixing it with
ice cream.
Processed. And then the fruit ferments, and then all bets are off on fruit.
Yes.
We're talking about fresh, activated, life force, rainbow hydrating fruit.
Yes.
And that is what will do fruit surgery on all of us and get us well.
Fruit surgery. I love it.
You will lay down. If you've never had fruit before, you got to go easy.
Yeah.
You don't want to be standard American diet and say, okay, I'm going to go on Figgy Bliss Island, which I've been on before, which is basically 7 days of eating figs exclusively.
Wow.
Oh, that was
Figgy Bliss Island. Wow.
I've never felt better in my life.
Oh my gosh.
It was
figs are a power food, aren't they? James Bond ate figs. If you remember, he would have figs and black coffee, and that was his breakfast.
Yeah, well,
he was a quasi-fruitarian back then, I guess.
Well, yeah, figs are my favorite food in the whole world.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Just the taste?
For sure, the taste of it, and how they make me feel, all of that. And I mean, I remember having an ex-girlfriend. She just said the word figs, and my knees would start to shake. Or I'd say, "Okay, honey, let's go in the room." Like, figs are like that. And then there's every other fruit for me.
Yeah.
But the non-addictive thing about raw food, the non-addictive thing about it, a lot of people will say, well, you're addicted to this. You must be addicted to raw food if you're eating so much of it. In January, I don't crave figs at all. Zero, because figs aren't out. I crave them when they're in season. I'm in January, I'm in the persimmon world. And in December, I'm in the persimmon, so this is the non-addictive power of nature that when I say sugar, salt, and fat in abundance too, you know, this is a key point, is that sugar, salt, and fat, well, isn't that glut, or isn't that like crazy? And in abundance, isn't that gluttony? Isn't that the American way? Isn't that what has gotten into trouble? It's like, no, when you eat real food, guess what? It happens to have all the water, the fiber, vitamins, the minerals, the photons, whatever science wants to put a name on it, that when it hits our stomach, it sends a signal to our brain saying enough, complete, and satisfied.
Yeah, it's really, really super hard to overeat on fruit. It really, truly is. And your body knows when to shut down and knows it's got the complete nutrition. You know, it's really amazing now that I've gotten on this is that the amount of food that people eat that are on a standard American diet is just unbelievable. Now, I was talking about my Thanksgivings, you know, and I mean, my family, they ate all the stuff, and I stayed with the salad, but they ate all, you know, the turkey stuffing, gravy, giblets, you know, all that stuff. And then the next morning, they're up and they're like, it's 9 o'clock, who's going out to breakfast? I'm like, what?
Yes.
Breakfast? Are you
Oh,
kidding?
no, totally.
I mean, and they went out and they had bacon, eggs, pancakes, you know, the whole schmear, and then it was time for lunch at 12. It's wow.
This is what happens to most of the world in their cooked food addiction. And I believe it is an addiction because as we crave more, the only thing that used to shut my hunger off is if I was so damn full. Yes. That was the only thing that would do it. If I was still little and I was starving for nutrients, that's why I was never satisfied.
That's what it is, isn't it? They're not getting the nutrition, so they need to get more quantity.
They need more sugar, salt, and fat in the real form, not the fake or processed sugar, salt, and fat that never ends. And the processed food companies know this. They know what to put in the food. They even know this. Check this out.
They got guys in white coats.
Oh my God.
Working at the food companies.
They're working right now to try to find another way for you to buy their product. Right the second it's happening. And so one of the things that they found out is that food at 110 degrees is the optimal temperature for humans to taste. The highest taste they like is 110, not 111, not 109.
Interesting.
It's 110. So how are they going to put 110 in a cardboard box and package it? They have found the molecules that replicate 110 to trick our brain into knowing. You just think that they're just putting stuff in like this. There is intentionality with every ingredient. There is a reason why it's in there. And it's not just for taste. And it's definitely not for nutrition.
You know, and we wonder why, you know, just chronic disease is off the charts. Everybody, every family is being touched by this right now. And it seems like the numbers are going up and up and up. You know, the chronic disease is just incredible, and it really is from all this stuff we're putting in. We don't know the complex chemical reactions that take place. You know, even with one pharmaceutical, when you put massive ones together, you know, 5 or 6, you get a compilation. The same with food additives. You know, I just read something on Natural News where they're putting something in the McDonald's. McDonald's only uses a certain kind of russet potato because it's a big long potato that gives the long French fries, so they stick up out of the bag just right. You know, and
exactly.
there's an aphid that actually lands on them and makes some kind of discoloration. They cannot have any discoloration. Those fries have to be perfect. So they put a pesticide on those potatoes that is so toxic the farmers won't even go back in the field for 5 days after using it. It's on Natural News right now. It's the top story. It's unbelievable.
But you should go and eat it.
Yeah, go ahead. Please don't. I want to get to some questions, Steve. If you're finished with your days.
Well, I just begun.
You just begun. So let's blow through some quick questions.
Yeah.
Just because we're here to help you.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
We're here to inspire and help you, and also answer your questions live here. So let's just kind of go through them one by one here. We have Alanochka 888. Can you talk about B12 and pregnancy? I am pregnant now and fully vegan and high raw. I tried taking B12 supplements, but it gives me acne. Do you want to take that one, Steve?
Yeah, I'll start with it because I am going to lack in my answer. I'll tell you that right now. Not only is B12 a mystery to a lot of professionals out there, and it's still a controversial subject, I don't know too much about it, but I will tell you what I do know. First of all, the acne, it didn't give you acne. It's just, that's your body's way of detoxifying that there's something in there that needs to get out. So that's your acne. I mean, I know it's acne, but let's talk about what it really is. Your body is detoxifying. So there are, I've heard some like sublingual under the tongue or injections of B12 that people have had some good success with who have had it. But the way that I've learned it is that there's something called the intrinsic factor. That it's not how much B12 we have, but how much we absorb, okay, of what we eat. And by the way, when you learn about Dr. Morse, you learn about the 4 processes. We have digestion, we have absorption, we have utilization, and we have elimination. And so when we start to detoxify all 4 of those things, that when we put food in our mouth, what happens, they all improve. So we start to absorb more B12 that may be on fruits and vegetables, especially unwashed organic fruits and vegetables. Now this is the kind of thing where people, I've been at farmers markets, and would just go and eat the fruit, or I'd eat the lettuce right there, and someone would say, a lady would, she'd be with her like sneezing, and she'd be like, she's like, I can't, those are germs. You're not gonna clean that? And she's like the one sneezing, and she has a fever or something. And I was like, actually, I haven't cleaned my produce in 8 or 10 years.
So the idea is that you're getting the B12 from the bacteria that are from the soil, that are on there.
That are on there.
Naturally on there.
The natural soil. Okay. That's one. 2, if there's a lot of earth on it, by the way, I'll take some off, or I'll put it under water if there's a lot. But if there's just a little bit, I just go and eat it, and I eat organic, and because I've cleansed. So for this person, you're high raw, fully vegan, high raw. Just be careful with those starches, on those cooked starches, and maybe look to up the fruit a little bit more. And I would get on the greens and rotate the greens, because greens give a lot of things that most fruit doesn't have. Not ideal fruit doesn't have, but most fruit out there is picked too soon, and this. So there's a green world. You might want to get on a green smoothie here and there. This is, by the way, not Dr. Morse approved. He does not like the green smoothie mix. I'm a big fan of it for things like a pregnancy, or for things like athletes, or things where we're not like stripping down, but we're in day-to-day regular living.
So you're not necessarily combining fruits and the veggies together. You're going to have your fruit till 1 o'clock, and then move into the green smoothies and salads and things like that.
Yes, but the green smoothie does have fruit and greens mixed. So
you do put fruit in your green smoothie?
In my green, yes. So here's the thing with that, and this is Victoria Butenko, who found that starch-less vegetables work well with fruit, or some fruits, and starchy vegetables don't. So we would never want to put a carrot or a beet in a banana, for instance. Okay, but we may want to put a banana and maybe some spinach, or banana and kale, as long as the banana is ripe. And key for this is ripe bananas. Bananas are the one food that increases in energy as it ages, and goes from a starch, which we do not want, to a sugar, which we do want. So
those spotted, really yellow bananas that look like they're turning, those are going to be your best. Yeah.
Best.
They're kind of soft. They're a little mushy. There may be some brown spots on them.
Yeah.
Which is going to be high in dopamine, by the way. You're going to feel really good after you eat those. So.
Yes. Yeah, we had a lot of bananas earlier.
Good. So I think a lot of people are feeling that they're low on B12 as they go, high fruit, and get off of the meats, because the meats have so many neurotransmitters. That animal knows it's dying, so it's pumping just tons of epinephrine into that blood, which you're taking in. So you're mistaking that as energy, and a lot of people are taking B12 supplements because of lack of energy, and it can take a while for you if you get off of the meat and off of the stimulants, right? And meat is a stimulant. In the coffee and all that, it could take you a while, months and months, to get those adrenals turned around where you feel energetic. So you're going to want to have the B12. So I guess to finish up that question, you can get enough B12 if you're utilizing properly.
You're
Probably
utilizing
adrenal glands, right?
for sure, the adrenals, and you know all about that. Like really building those adrenals, and so we start to utilize what we absorb more. Even you know, there's absorption, and there's utilization,
right.
also known as assimilation, and how that works. I mean, basically, here's the bottom line with the whole body and the whole life. Ready for this? We'll put it in one sentence.
Here it is.
It's all flow. Flow is life. Flow is, when we have flow, we feel wonderful. As soon as we hit an obstruction, a stagnation, there is some sort of dis-ease. The American Medical Association has 20,000 different names for those diseases, and you can call it this or that. We know that it's an acidic, but what we really know is that we just went away from nature. We just need to come back to nature. That is a really good balance of acid and alkaline. It's a perfect balance, just like nature intended. I mean, it becomes real simple.
It's so true. The unnatural world is really causing a lot of problems, and the fact that we've been conditioned to think that science has all the answers. You know, we got to the moon and this and that, and you know, computer technology is so fantastic. There's a lot of fantastic things, but you know, as far as food goes, they are way behind, and they're causing a lot of problems. And like I always talk about, you know, I got my mom to get me Tang when I was a kid instead of orange juice. I didn't want orange juice. She says, no, you're going to have orange juice, Mark. And I said, oh, come on, the astronauts drink it. It was designed by scientists. It has more vitamin C than an orange. It has all these vitamins. Look, Mom, you know. And she's like, oh, I want you to have the orange juice, okay? But she got me the Tang too. So But it was, what was it, high fructose corn syrup and some kind of, you know, orange dye number 92. I don't know. I'm surprised I'm still around, you guys. I really am. Let's get another question here if we can. I hope we answered your question. So don't wash your vegetables.
Well, you know, really, like you may want to look into another. That's the one thing that a lot of raw vegans. There's two things that raw vegans that are pretty darn healthy, in my opinion. Who they might be doing a little higher fruit or a little lower fruit or whatever it is, but they're like been raw for a while. There's two things that they do that doesn't seem to be too bad of a thing, even though I'm all for nature, and that is a B12 supplement. And if you're in a different area than the sun, a vitamin D supplement. Those are two supplemental things that I have seen work for some people. But for me, myself, I'd rather move to the tropics or the equator or Los Angeles, like where we live. And I'd rather not clean my vegetables and just
get the sun.
Yeah.
And incidentally, also keep the GI tract clean. You know, do a couple bags of Dr. Morse's GI Broom. You know, clean that out, because a lot of your B12 and vitamins are made in the gut. You have a nice, healthy. If you're eating correctly, if you're eating high raw, high fruit, you're going to have a great balance of gut bacteria that's going to manufacture these vitamins.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I do that's not so much Dr. Morse in his book or anything, but I've learned it from Matthew Kenny, and I've known it before, is to have a little kimchi or fermented foods like in the salad, because then there's a little bit of probiotic B12, like naturally made, not in a pill form, but it's actually like fermented foods, because some people, I believe way back when, kind of let maybe some of their food sit for a while in the sun, while they might have had to go chase, I don't know, a bunny rabbit or whatever. And then they came back and it was like, hey, this is kind of tangy now. There's a little bit of fermentation here. Oh my God, we left it overnight. You know, it kind of tastes good. You know, so I'm into a little bit of fermentation sometimes in my salads at night.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. It's really just for flavor. It's not like I need to do this for my health, but it helps start to grow the good intestinal flora, which so many people are lacking. And if we have enough of the good bacteria, then we will beat the bad bacteria.
Interesting. I was making my own kombucha for a while, and I was drinking it, and I noticed my neck starting to tighten up, so I got off of it. It just wasn't working for me. But yeah, you know, try what Steve suggested. If it works for you, great. Yeah.
That's a big thing you just said. Try what Steve suggested. It's not just Steve, but this is what I recommend. Whatever works. If you go on a pogo stick and it cures your cancer, go on a pogo stick 5 hours a day. Like whatever. I'm a big fan of it. It doesn't have to be this box or in that box or who called it this or that. What works for you?
As long as it's natural.
Well, yeah, natural for sure.
Yeah.
Well, only nature is really going to work. We know that.
That's true.
Anything
really
unnatural, it might give them a short-term thing, but it's not going to be a long-lasting.
Okay, so let's see what Becky's got. One day 2 on a water fast. Can you tell me if I can also use the Giovanna detox tea and peppermint tea for bowel movements? Also, is using the sauna acceptable? So you're doing a water fast, and you want to add some tea, peppermint tea for bowel movements or Giovanna detox. Those really aren't going to stimulate the bowels so much. You'd want to use Dr. Morse's stomach and bowels formulas or the GI Broom to stimulate. Cascara sagrada is his main herb in there that is non-addictive, but it stimulates the bowels. But there's none of that in Giovanna, and peppermint tea I don't think is bowel stimulating. It will stimulate circulation a little bit, but I don't think it's going to help with your bowel movements. Is the sauna acceptable during a water fast? Is the sauna acceptable? I would say so.
I would say so in moderation. In light, I mean, okay, here's the deal. Like the teas and then this, if you do a water fast, just straight up do one. The whole idea behind a water fast is to rest. And so if you're bringing in this to help move the bowels or this to, your body will start to move the stuff anyway without any stuff. Let's always remember that the body is the miracle. We all want to buy this or sell that or this or that, but the body's the miracle. Get out of the way. This is why water fasting can very well be at the top of the mountain.
Really well said.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, I would go in the sauna maybe a little bit. I would rather be in the sun if you can do that. If you're trying to do it to lose weight, sometimes I'm thinking maybe you're wanting to lose weight, so you want to go in the sauna, and this is why you ask that, to move more lymph. You know, I would say you can go a little bit in it, but keep hydrated. And I'm going to say this 2 more times. Keep hydrated. Keep hydrated. One more. Keep hydrated. It is so essential on a water fast, especially if you're going to be in the sun or a sauna.
Can you put lemon in the water on a water fast?
You could, but then it's no longer a water fast, and she may want to say, hey, I want to be water. But yes, you can put lemon water in, and that'll give you some nutrition and vitamin C for sure.
And extra hydration.
Extra hydration and extra lymph moving.
Yes.
Okay, so you can do that as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So keep it pure, keep it simple, right? All right. So spiritual nutrition. I noticed how much better my body works digestion, elimination without veggies, even blamed soups. I'd like to be able to eat veggies without concern. This is a great Steve question. I just want to add that Steve is experimenting with some raw soups that you heat in the sun to bring it up to your ideal 110 or whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right? So go ahead and take this one. I know you got a great answer for this one here.
Yeah, well, okay, so yes, we get to a point in detoxification and we start to get high on the fruit.
Sorry. Bitsy. All right, sweet. Go get him. Go get him.
I don't know how loud that was on camera, but that was right here, right outside.
Steve jumped.
I was like, whoa. Play that back. I want to see me jump in slow motion.
All right.
So,
she's just guarding the house. Okay. Go ahead and rewind.
Okay, so where were we? Okay, so after we cleanse, of course, we get on the fruits as top of the mountain, and we get so used to fruits that when we start to bring back vegetable fiber, it becomes a little bit like, whoa, like, oh, it's kind of like you had your food out, your veggie burger.
My half a veggie burger with beans.
Right.
Yeah, the black beans.
So, okay, so to spiritual nutrition, excuse me, was that spiritual nutrition?
Spiritual, yes.
Yeah, so to spiritual nutrition, the fruit to a little bit of veggies is the same as you kind of doing raw and then you're going to have cooked, kind
Right.
of that same kaboom, because
Right.
we're so used to something. So we want to go easy on the veggies, and you may want to introduce the veggies first in a green juice form. Very easily digested. This is without the fibers. And then if you start to get into the fibrous form, you want to start with like a tender green leafy veggies. Stay away from the starches at first until you have built up your body again to take the veggies, specifically hydrochloric acid, which improves on green smoothies. They've had this something called the Roseburg study, where they put 30 people for 30 days on smoothies, and their hydrochloric acid increased. Hydrochloric acid is part of, when we have better hydrochloric acid, our utilization goes up.
And that comes from the stomach. It's released from the stomach.
Right. So remember when we were kids and we used to we would throw up for the first time. It was like, ah, there was like so much, like it hurt. And then as you get older, you're just like, bleh. So it's just like throw up. It's no big deal. Another day at the office. You know, it gets like that because we don't have as much hydrochloric acid as we did when we were young. So we could build that hydrochloric acid back up, and Dr. Morse talks about that. But one of the ways, and this is where green smoothies really can come in for people, is to slowly, and start with the tender greens first, like the spinach versus, say, kale, which is more rough. Okay? So like the tender romaines, the tender spinaches, the
baby spinach,
babies,
baby kales,
get the babies in there. And then slowly over time, as your hydrochloric acid builds, I believe you'll be able to start to have more veggies. But there's a building process. But that's an awesome. A lot of people have that question. I've been asked that.
Interesting. Okay. You want to talk about your soups?
The soups. Okay. Well, soups are like kind of the new smoothie for so many people.
Can I quote you on that?
Well,
soups
it's not
are the new smoothie.
I don't think it's my quote because I've heard it before.
Oh.
I don't know if I've said it, but it's like it's a blended deal, right? And so now people are usually blending fruit smoothies or green smoothies. Now they're getting into these like savory things where it's not just it's not so fruit, but there's there's a savoriness to it, and we could have that. And there's people who make chakra soups. I have a friend who she does chakra classes and a chakra soup. So each chakra. And
oops. There we go. Bitsy just kicked the camera out. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so we start with the root chakra. So maybe before the root chakra, the lights need to come out like they did with the camera for a second. And we need to like start over, and then we start with the root chakra, and that's the red. And there's these red soups, the tomato or the beet or things like that. And then you get into the orange with orange juice and the sacral chakra, the power, and the yellows and the power solar plexus chakra. And you get into the mango soups and then the yellows and anything that could be yellow. And
incidentally, the chakras line up exactly with the endocrine glands.
Look, isn't that
so
amazing?
It's a gland chakra awakening.
Look at that. That's an important thing, what you just said.
It's true.
That the chakras and the glands are connected.
They're the same thing, yeah.
I mean, come on now. Because they weren't looking at glands when they learned about chakras.
I don't believe so.
They weren't doing X-rays back in chakra world, right?
This is true.
So this is fascinating. I just learned this. You're seeing Steve right now being fascinated by a new thing.
Yeah, I mean the chakras is this is thousands of years old.
Right.
And so they are in line with the endocrine glands, and so interesting. So chakra gland soup.
Totally.
Okay.
And then you get to the greens and the blues. That's when you would put either blueberry or a spirulina to make it blue. And then
so this
purples.
can get fun. The idea rock can be fun, and we don't have to be cornered into just eating fruit in a salad every day. So,
For sure.
So Steve is really pushing this end of the envelope, which is great.
Yeah.
And we hope to see Steve on the Food Network soon. I know he's trying to get a show together.
Even Bitsy wants to see me. She just said yes. She said hell yeah.
I think it would be really popular to have a raw, uncooked show, right? Call it Uncooked. By the way, I always talked about Cooked. They have a Netflix show called Cooked that talks. The guy actually says that when man started cooking his food, he became man, and that his brain power increased, which is complete baloney. It's unbelievable. So
the stuff that people come up with, it's true that if you put, like, say, a tomato in heat, the lycopene will go up. But what about all the other nutrients and vitamins
and the acid?
And
it becomes super acidic when you cook tomato. Stay away from tomato sauce, you guys. It's tomato soup as well.
But one thing goes up, all these things go down, and they're focusing on the one thing because Heinz wants to sell you ketchup because it has lycopene in it. Do you know anybody lycopene deficient? I mean, it's so but this is amazing. How did they get the world to smoke cigarettes? How did that become a thing?
They said more doctors smoke Camels than anything else, so, right?
And
That's
doctors,
how they do it.
And if you want to be healthy, you need to listen to your doctor. What? Better be Dr. Morse.
Well, we're going to look back. We're going to look back on this time, and we're going to say, "Oh my God, we were totally asleep." It was like the time when everybody was smoking and thinking it was okay. I think we're going to look back on this time of eating this fast food, this highly processed food with all these chemicals made in laboratories and sprayed with all kinds of pesticides, fungicides, herbicides. As a dark age for man, and seeing the cancer rates at 41% is it now, the diabetes rates are off the charts, heart disease off the charts, all completely needless to have in the human body, all caused by us and our ignorance and our trust in the system. And we're going to look back at this time as a dark age, and you just showing up here are a sign that we're moving in the right direction, and we're just here to spread the word, and like I say, don't take our word for it. Get on the high fruit, get on the high raw, and see how great you feel. See how much more alive you become. See just all the changes, right? The more compassionate you become, the more caring, the more just on so many levels, so many gifts. Let's move on to another question here. We got Joe Mama.
Who's Mama? Your Mama.
How about UVB and red in tanning places for those in cold climates, like you said, 20 minutes max. So I can take this one. The tanning beds, when they start to isolate, the different frequencies are not good. We want the full spectrum of sun, all right? So sun is really the answer. I would say to people in a really cold climate where you can't really go outside into the courtyard and all that, is find a sunroom. Right, find a clear piece of glass that comes through. Sit in that sunroom. I know in my house here that the sun is in different windows at different times of the day. So I can go into, let's say, the guest room and get the sun there in the morning, and then, of course, come here in the living room where I get the sun all afternoon. So you can get your 20 minutes. Find a sun. Any room's a sunroom if the sun's coming in. But I would stay away from isolated
For
things.
sure.
Yeah.
It's just anything not natural. One of the things is I know a Canadian guy, Chris Kendall. Love him to pieces, brother. If you're out there, hey, brother. And one of the things that he's done in Canada in the winter, it's a sunny day, he will take off his shirt indoors and he'll go outside, woo, it's cold, and he'll start running while the cold sun, is still hitting him. So if you can move your body, one of the things with a lot of people in colder climates, they have a harder time maintaining or becoming raw.
Yes.
And one of the things is it's so cold, and I'm so cold.
Yeah, your taste changes when it's cold, doesn't it?
There's so many.
You don't feel like wet, cold fruit.
No, you don't want fruit, okay? So this is where you might want a little bit more veggies. This is where you might want to get some spices in there too. But more importantly, move your body when it's cold. Move that body. It'll stay warm for hours after you have stopped exercising or what I call playing.
Well, I'm a skier. When
Yeah.
it's 40 degrees out, that is a hot day skiing. I mean, you're taking layers off.
Yeah.
You're peeling layers. I was just up at
Mhm.
Mammoth. It was 50 degrees. We were skiing in t-shirts.
Uh-huh.
It was crazy. And yeah. So yeah, like Steve says, when you get the body temperature up, do a little bit rebounding or jogging inside the house.
Yeah.
Get nice and heated up and go out. You can go out into a 30-degree day.
Totally.
With your shirt off and get some sun as you jog lightly, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. When I
You'll
was
be looked at like you're crazy, but
Yeah.
it's a method, yeah.
Yeah, so right when I was finished with my natural hygiene 2.5 years, and I got into a little bit of the salts, like the sodium, like the natural ones, and a little more of the fats, and I started to feel like the best I ever did, aside from that fig week, but I was just feeling so good. And I remember being in New York in October or November, and I was wearing, I think, kind of like what you were wearing, like just a long sleeve shirt buttoned down, but it wasn't like a sweater. Everyone's like cold. People are like, how are you not cold? And it's like, because I don't eat hot food. That's how I'm not cold, huh? And they're like, what? And so here's the key. Because a lot of people can know that in the summer, yeah, we get cooler, sure, because of raw food. But in the winter, we get warmer? How does that happen? Here's how this happens. Remember when you were a kid? Remember when we weren't getting that hot, we weren't getting that cold, we were just we would go out and it would be really hot out, supposedly, and we didn't get that hot, or it'd be cold out, we were okay with it. But as we got older, we started to go, or we were like, this. Because as we move our lymph, as we detoxify, build our adrenals, our circulation starts to improve. That's how come I have really good circulation.
Interesting.
Yes, and by the way, for the men out there, circulation improves all over. Yeah, there's such a thing as raw agra.
Raw agra.
You better get on the raw agra and get raw-diculous and raw amazing. I have a whole vocabulary for y'all. But it's like there definitely is, like, everything works, and the sexual part for women too. That begins to work, and more moistness, all of that stuff. And Dr. Morse talks about in his book, it's like we basically start to reverse age. And if you want to feel like you're 14 again, I do. You could break glass.
I do.
Get on the raw agra. You could break glass with that thing. I'm telling you. You're gonna wake up in the morning and be like, I can't go pee for 1 hour.
It's really interesting. What's really interesting is here the Pacific Ocean is kind of cold. It's probably 62 right now. We get the Alaskan current coming in.
Yeah.
And I have a wetsuit. I have a really thick wetsuit, and that's how I can go out there. But I see the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're out there, and they're in a t-shirt and cutoffs, and they're playing, going in and out of the surf.
Yeah.
The little 10-year-old kids, and they're not cold at all.
Yes.
It could be drizzly out. It could be freezing. That water is freezing cold. And they're just loving life.
So,
do you remember those days when you play for hours and hours in the cold?
Yes.
Cold swimming pool, whatever.
Yeah.
They have the good circulation, like Steve says. We can get that back.
Yeah, thermal regulation can improve.
Love it.
And that's key, because we want to be comfortable where we are. If we're always like cold or hot, or we always have to have it perfect, that's a sign that you need to have some more fruit in your life.
S is writing back, we're in Illinois. Geoengineering, aka chemtrails, has ended our chance of daily sun. It's bad here. Oh wow, sorry man. Yeah, how do we get enough sun when we're being chemtrailed? They don't do it every day, thank God. At least out here. I mean, they come in at certain times. I don't understand the pattern. I think they're afraid of some kind of uprising out there in Illinois, because I know your pension funds are drying up. So I don't know. Good question. I would say move to someplace.
That'd be my first. Like,
if
you can move, but find the days that are not, because vitamin D does last for a while. It's not a, it's good to be every day if you can, but it does. If you go to Hawaii for a week, you're going to be pretty good with vitamin D for a couple of weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Karen Gordon likes the fruit surgery line.
Love you, Karen Gordon.
We love Karen Gordon. She's been such an inspiration and such a, really has supported me all along, even when I first started. Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate everything. and reposting my things and all that. And I know you've had quite a healing journey, and just sending lots of blessings of health and healing to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've really embraced this whole thing. And but you have a question asking for a friend who is eating raw and just became pregnant. Someone told her there are some herbs she should be avoiding. Do you know if there are any herbs she should avoid? Thank you.
Okay. The answer is yes. There are herbs that she should avoid, and those herbs are unknown by me at this time.
I know the lymphatic herbs are
Okay.
one that comes to mind.
Okay.
And that would be, of course, Dr. Morse's lymphatic formulas and the poke root, the chaparral, things like that. But as with Steve, I'd have to do some research on that. I do have some notes on that. I'm going to send you that, Karen.
I knew the answer to that when I was in Dr. Morse's class. I had the answer. And that was like a couple of years ago, I think, and I don't remember that answer.
Yeah,
but there is one.
Yeah.
There were 2 or 3.
Yeah. So we'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, there actually there's pregnancy warnings on a lot of the herbal formulas. You can find that information actually on Dr. Morse's site. It'll show which are the warnings. But I know the lymphatic herbs are one. Harry Johansing writes, and he's a friend of both of ours. It's okay to mix raw with chanting. Yes, you may chant the holy name of the Lord as you eat raw. You have our permission.
Totally. And if you remember, like if you were in high school, do you remember the cheerleaders? They all
rah,
did it.
rah, rah, right?
They all did it, brother. You got it, Harry. Yeah, go ahead. Rah, rah, rah. Well, for sure, anytime we chant, affirm, get in a momentum, there is a rhythmic thing that happens, and our bodies are rhythmic, and so we're in alignment with nature. So if you're raw and you're doing some chanting or toning or any kind of like all of these things that can help move the flow.
Interesting.
Does it move the flow or does it not? That's really like, can I do this? Can I do that? Should this happen or this? Is it increasing flow or is it causing an obstruction? That's like the thing to ask.
You know, Dr. Morse says over and over again that fruit is the most spiritual food you can have.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, we have this third eye in, you know, it's called the pineal gland, and it is throughout millennia. You know, the Hindus way back 10,000 years ago from Kalibangan and that area. You know, where the Vedas were brought to us and all that. They always talk about the third eye. You know, and the ancient Egyptians, you know, that symbol, the Ra symbol it is. Ra, here we go, Ra again.
Well, Ra is the sun.
There you go, Ra. The eye of Horus is actually right in the center of the brain. If you took a cross section, it looks exactly like it where the pineal gland is.
Wow.
So it's your spiritual third eye. That gets cleansed as you eat fruit and berries especially. So your spiritual connection will increase at the more raw you get, and you're going to want to chant more.
For sure.
So yeah, there is definitely a connection there.
And the reason for that is because we're truly spiritual beings anyway, and the more fruit you have, the more obstructions you remove from that nature that you are. This is what pure energy is all about.
Wow.
Pure energy is our true essence. Fruits and vegetables are pure energy. Bitsy is pure energy.
What about a Big Mac?
A Big Mac would not be considered pure energy. It would be tampered with, perverted, denatured energy that changes the chemistry of things, and then when it enters our bodies go, what is this?
I really think if I had a Big Mac meal right now, a Big Mac, supersized fries, supersized Coke, I would probably seize up and die. I think I would. I mean, there is a.
I've always loved you, brother.
That's what Mark thought. He went to McDonald's.
That MarkJamesGordon guy, he was reading irises for a while. He was really on it, and then he went to McDonald's.
You know, I gotta say, I unfortunately went to we have a big outlet center here where all the places it's an outlet mall where they supposedly consumer direct from the factory, whatever. Anyways, I got there around 6 o'clock. And I could not believe there was a line. They had a Starbucks kiosk there.
Yes.
There was a line at 6 o'clock at night. A huge line, like 25, 30 people waiting to get coffee. I'm thinking, they're drinking coffee at 6 o'clock at night. I
Yes.
mean, they must have no adrenals left,
No.
right? They're living on coffee just to
And they
have enough pep to go shopping, right?
And then to watch the TV show when they get home, and I mean, and they have at least 3 or 4 more hours left in the day, and so they need that. And coffee, so many people say coffee gives me energy. Coffee gives 0 energy. What coffee gives is stimulation, and there is a distinct difference between energy and stimulation.
Very good, yeah.
And so many people, like even like garlic and onions, like that's more stimulating, you know, but it's not like pure energy. And so we want to, like, this is why fruit is top of the mountain. See, vegetables, they're kind of cool. They're kind of like on the surface. They might go down a little bit, maybe up a little bit. But fruit comes off of these things called trees that are like, their roots are going dozens of feet, sometimes hundreds of feet into the ground, and sometimes hundreds of feet in the air.
That's true. They're digging deep into the earth, yeah.
And the electrons,
and reaching to the sky.
Yes, heaven and earth are being connected, and like the electrons of the earth are like pulling it, and then the sun is pulling the tree. If you ever, like in Lake Tahoe, which you've been definitely, you see like a diagonal trees because the sun is like diagonal there, and because that's where the sun pulls the trees, and so you have this pulling power. Off of the branches come the colors of the rainbow called fruit. This is why, I mean, we can't say anything we're even saying about fruit won't even give fruit justice.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question I get on a daily basis.
Oh boy, I already know it.
Where am I going to get my protein, Steve, if I'm eating fruit?
I don't know.
I'm going to wither away and I'm going to shrivel up. I'm going to lose all my muscle tone. I'm going to be a stick figure walking around. Where am I going to get my protein?
You're just not. You're just not.
I'm just going to wither away.
And just die and just forget it. There's just not enough protein.
I don't know what I'm. Maybe, you know what? I must be a somnambulist. I must be sleepwalking down and walking over to. I live right in back of an In-N-Out burger, so I must be walking over there and getting burgers at night because I haven't withered away.
Right.
So.
Okay, so check this out. So there's the whole protein myth, and it is a myth, is so ridiculous, ridiculous in this health movement for the people that know. So much so that there's even T-shirts that say, "Where are you getting your protein?" I mean,
this is the #1 question.
This is the #1. I mean, people might like hug each other, give high fives, or shake hands. Raw vegans might just say, "Hey, where are you getting your protein today?" Because it's so ridiculous. So the deal is, first, human beings can't even use protein at all. 0. Until they're broken down into amino acids. So it's amino acids that we want, and why don't we go get first-hand protein instead of go get the second-hand protein that's like the cow that ate the grass? Go to the first-hand protein, or go where the gorilla goes, where he gets the green leaves and mainly fruit. And the gorilla, known as the strongest animal found in the world, can bench press an estimated 3,500 pounds. Where is he getting his protein? And you say, "Whoa, okay, so now check this out. I got into raw as a basketball player who was wanting more protein, and my game was going down because of all of my acidity. My legs were hurting, all of this stuff, and someone told me to go raw, and I was like, "What? You mean like sushi?" And they said, "No, like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, all uncooked." And I'm like, "Are you kidding? That's something a monk would do." And that's like the most boring thing in the world. And then I started to do it, and I started to feel better on the court. I started catching passes. I was as fast as Mitzi.
Wow.
I could catch like with like Mr. Miyagi with the chopsticks, the fly. You know, I was just so fast. And I remember going to the free throw line and shooting free throws after 4 days.
Wow.
3 days of being raw on the 4th day. And I started shooting free throws.
Wow.
And every shot was like I was there, like I was in the moment. And I made 83 in a row. So
wow.
So yes,
from the free throw
line.
Wow.
So there's a mental thing that happens too. So these athletes are starting to get more into raw. Cross country runners are getting more into raw. I learned about Tim Van Orden. And go look at where he gets his protein because he's eating fruits and greens primarily, maybe a little bit of fatty acids.
And that couple in Australia, they were pushing 70 and they ran 365 consecutive marathons, 10,000 miles around Australia on raw.
on raw, 365 days, a marathon a day. That's 26 miles a day, 0.2 miles a day on fruit. I don't even think they were doing raw.
Oh, it was fruit.
I think they were fruitarian, okay? So then we look at like Venus and Serena Williams, who won Wimbledon.
Are they raw?
Yes, yes. So they won Wimbledon on
raw.
raw.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Cage fighters now. Now cage fighters go in to kill another person.
Oh yeah.
You want testosterone, you want HGH, you want all of that stuff going for you to kill.
Wow.
This is not like long distance or tennis. This is like serious, and more are going raw, upping their natural foods because there's an advantage.
Incredible.
And more are going vegan too, including the guy that just won as a vegan.
Wow.
You know, like where is he getting his protein? You know, so and then go look at one of Dr. Morse's graduates, one of our brothers, Ian Michael Myers.
Oh, that guy's an animal.
Animal. Go look at him
God.
and ask him where he's getting his protein. He's not doing any whey. There's no whey.
He's a full-blown bodybuilder.
Full-blown
with
bodybuilder.
the big muscle, and he's not doing any whey.
No way.
Wow.
No way to weigh.
No way.
No way to weigh. No milk. He's not doing like supplements. He might have some maca or spirulina or chlorella or some superfood here and there, but he's really eating mostly fruit.
Is he doing a lot of,
he does a ton of fruit.
A ton of fruit.
A ton of fruit.
High calorie.
He gets, and the whole high calorie thing is like calories, glycemic indexes, this number, that number. You got to look at that stuff when you're in the fake world and eating the processed world. But when you're in the real world, all that stuff goes away. All the numbers, they're just not, they're not part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got an important question for you, Steve.
Yes.
We have some very sick people out there that really need to be 100% fruit for the cleansing, the regeneration, the healing that high fruit gives you.
Mm-hmm.
That the vegetables are fine, but when you really want to call in the highest of the healing, you need the high fruit, especially the grapes, and also the herbs as well,
mm-hmm.
to target specific areas,
mm-hmm.
and to help move lymph and help keep the kidneys opened up. But how does someone get enough calories to maintain their weight and not really go
mm-hmm.
down too much? If they can only do fruit and only do the high cleansing fruits.
Good question. It's a great question. Number one, you are going down. You're
going to lose weight.
You are going to lose weight. You just got to understand that. You might not want to. A lot of people love the fact that they're losing weight, but there's many people who are like, I can't afford to lose 5 pounds. I'm already Holocaust skinny.
A lot of people like that, yeah.
And so what happens is you are going to lose a little bit more, okay? But what happens after
your friends and family are going to be very concerned about you, and they're going to tell you you're crazy and get back on the meat.
For
right?
sure. Well, okay, so Ian his friends and family were scared for his life when he was in detox. They were like, dude, start eating the old stuff again, and he just kept doing it.
That happened to me in the beginning too.
Yeah.
I got super skinny.
Me too. People were saying, dude, you need to do something.
And I didn't look good. I did not look good.
I did
and
not
they were
either.
concerned. I said, you know what, I'm hanging in there because it's going to come back.
It is.
Sure enough, it turned around.
It is, and that's the part, we're in this world and there's so much like ego and vanity and what people think, and we come from that, and then we get like pulled into that, especially if we're raw and on a cleanse.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't have like the barrier to like guard us, and then people are saying, you need to get your protein, you need to get this and that. And it's like they do not understand that you are in a healing crisis right now, and that you are about to wear a cape. You're right around the corner from wearing a cape and becoming the superhero that you are.
Yeah.
On the other side of detoxification is paradise, and the detox needs to happen so fruit will strip you down, and fruit will get rid of everything that you are not.
All your inflammation will leave the body too, and it will actually go in.
Yeah.
I believe it'll go in and it'll try to get rid of. See, you store a lot of junk in your fat as well.
Right.
So it's going to go in there, and it's going to go into the fat stores too and clear those out. So yeah, you're gonna get super skinny. Just have the faith that it's going to turn around, and take as much fruit in as you possibly can.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another thing that happens.
And rest also if you're really you want to rest.
Well, rest is key.
Yeah.
Rest is key, and keep taking in the fruit, and maybe you need to up the bananas. you know, to try to keep the weight on if you want to like keep the fruit going, but up the bananas, make sure they're ripe.
And dates are high calorie too.
Dates are high calorie
Are
too.
figs high calorie?
Yeah.
Oh, figs are too. Okay, good.
Those are 3. Mangoes are nice in that area.
Ah.
And so you might want to eat more times during the day and just keep the eating going. But if you're not hungry, don't eat. Your body's telling you to stop. Give it a rest.
Interesting.
And let yourself fast. Let yourself go through it. It'll come around. I mean, I was like 147 pounds.
What are you right now?
I'm about 170.
Oh, okay, so you were real thin.
I was.
Because you're thin now. You look great, but you're thin on the thin side.
I'm on the thin side. I got thinner, and that wasn't so much that I looked so bad being 147, although it was, but it was also that I was just detoxing, and there was like circles under my eye. You know, people were like, dude, it's like, I know what I've studied it long enough. I'm convinced. And then I came back and I started to build up.
Did you lose muscle mass
Yes,
during this?
yes.
But you got that back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me tell you a couple things about Tim Van Orden. So he was like my inspiration in Raw.
Now, who is Tim Van Orden?
Tim Van Orden, he's I think he's 48 years old now. He does the Running Raw project. And when this guy told me on the basketball court about Raw, he told me about Tim Van Orden. I started looking at Tim Van Orden's videos. Tim went in a detox before he became Superman, and I'll tell you about Superman in a second.
Is he an Ironman runner?
He's a runner. He's a tower racer right now. That's his like main deal. He does like cross country running, and I think he did marathons. But this is a guy who was sidelined in, I believe, college, like his freshman year. He stopped running cross country and got into the sedentary world. I think he got into the movie business or tried to be an actor. Met a vegan woman, liked her, wanted to become vegan to impress her or something like that. Became vegan, started to feel better. Then he didn't feel so good. He was still a sedentary life, and then someone said, why don't you try macrobiotic vegan, you know, like the healthiest vegan. And he was like, okay, I'll try that. I'm not feeling so good in this vegan thing.
Yeah, I never understood the high grain macrobiotic.
Yeah.
You know, just the opposite of what we believe.
Well, he started to do that, and he started to feel better. And then he started to not feel so good after a while. And he's like, I've tried everything in the world, even the macrobiotic vegan. And then he got into Raw. Someone told him about Raw, and he goes, I'll try it for a week. And that's it. And then it turned into 2 weeks, and it turned into a month, into 6 months, and turned into a year. After a year, he did not know if it was all in his mind, how good he felt, or if it was true. So he started to test his body running again after 15 years of being sedentary.
Wow.
Within 6 weeks, he was running 20 miles in the hills. Within 6 more weeks, he went to the Catalina Half Marathon, which is a hilly marathon, and he didn't know out of 500 people where he would place, and he came in 4th.
Wow.
And so this new way of being Raw, like he was
at
wearing
48 years old.
Yeah, well, this was like he was, I think, at 38 at this time, or,
wow.
or coming up to 40. But
wow.
So he is like, so he decided in his running, like, what is the hardest thing to do in the world? Tower racing.
Now, what is tower racing?
That's when you run up the Empire State Building or the Sears Tower.
Oh, up the stairs?
Up the stairs.
Oh, wow. And
you are running up, and he says, when you get to the 80th floor, your legs fail, and you start pulling yourself up the thing.
Oh, yeah.
After the 90th, your arms and legs fail. You're just like, it's just you and gravity. Jeez. And he's beating world-class 20-year-olds at this, and running Raw. So that got my attention.
What an inspiration.
That's one. And then one more really quick runner story from Michael Arnstein. This guy is amazing, okay? This guy tried everything in the world, even tried high-fat Raw. And when he got into the low-fat Raw in his 30s, as a marathon runner, you're kind of over the hill in 30s, he started to improve his time finally after like 10 years.
Wow. And
he started running ultra marathons, which are 50, 60, 100 miles sometimes.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
So he was doing this and running it. He ran a 100-mile race one day, and he came in, I believe, like 4th, 5th, or 6th. Like, he placed really good with these 20-year-olds. That wasn't the amazing thing. The amazing thing was the next day, he ran the New Jersey Marathon and won. And anyone knows runners, you start to you need 1 week after a marathon like to recover. And so the next day after running 100 miles, he ran 26 in New Jersey and won. Okay, so when people found out what he did the day before, their jaws dropped and his website got all these hits. But this is the power of raw food, and specifically the power of fruit. Like,
the thing is that when you're running like that, when you're in constant physical activity, especially running up the towers like that, you're manufacturing a lot of acid. Lactic acid is a byproduct of the muscles doing their thing. Your ability to clear those acids out by having a free-flowing lymph system. Your lymph system is a slow-moving river, and if there's blockages, you're just going to block it with acid, and you're going to be super sore, and you're not going to be able to carry on. So, so it really gets down to like how much can I flush out and how quickly, and therefore you keep going. You know, I'm a skier, and you know, it's super important. The way the skis turn, you have to be flexible. Yeah, you have to have a certain amount of strength, not that much when you get the technique down, but a lot of flexibility in order to have your hips in the right spot and your knees in the right spot to be able to angle those skis to get them to do the work. Yes. And I've noticed that I'm a lot looser now, and I have more flexibility, so I have to exert less energy in skiing. So there's a lot of great benefits athletically from being high fruit. Let's move to another question if we can, right?
Sure.
Okay, so this is Truth and Love 1111.
1111. That's 1111, brother.
I love it.
Truth and love.
I am not sweating. What can you recommend? I do daily block fasting and a Saturday evening through Monday morning dry fast in the hope to naturally clean my lymph. I am celiac also, and not yet raw, 80-20 raw cooked vegan. Do you want to answer this one?
Sure.
All right.
Get raw, go 100%, and hit the fruit hard. The fruit will move your lymph from the inside out. Especially dark grapes and lemons, those are going to be the key in moving the lymph.
The lymph busters.
But lymph busters, but definitely berries are amazing, and all of the sub-acid fruits are going to be great.
Which are all your really wonderful fruits, like your mangoes, your peaches, your plums, your apples, your berries are in that. Also, all those wonderful, you know, sweet, not super sweet like the bananas and dates, but the nice sweet fruits.
Totally. And you may want to get a little citrus-diculous too. There's a whole like citrus world out there that sometimes people can't even take citrus. They start to sweat immediately.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like, or they get nauseated immediately because the citrus just is those seeded fruits. There's the pitted fruits and the seeded fruits. And the seeded fruits seem to have a higher vibration, higher cleansing.
Interesting.
Than the pitted.
Oh.
Like I would take an orange over a mango for cleansing.
Yes.
But I would take a mango over an orange for eating.
Yes. Yes. You know, the thing too is that try skin brushing. Try to stimulate the skin as well to get the sweating. Also, not sweating is a sign that your thyroid is low. You may want to check your basal temperatures, and I have a video on how to do that. You check it in the morning first thing with a basal thermometer. They're about $10 on Amazon. Make sure you get the one that goes under the arm, and you check that before you even make one single movement out of bed. That's your resting body temperature. It should be in the high 97s, low 98s. And you want to bring up that thyroid. There's specific herbs that will do that. Dr. Morse has formulas. So and combine that with some skin brushing and some things to stimulate the skin. But yeah, you're doing the right things and trying to promote lymph flow. And all that.
Rebounding is a good one.
Yeah, rebounding. Sure.
Yeah, get on those mini trampolines and bounce. Every time you like bounce, your system kind of like shocks. And what happens with a lot of people with stagnant lymphs is that it's kind of like sometimes I'll get people on fruit and they won't move their lymph right away. It's like they've been so stagnant for long. It's like the fruit is shaking you, and then it's just going to go. Shoo.
I have people with kidneys that aren't filtering for like a year.
Yeah.
And incidentally, if your kidneys are not filtering, and that's the number one thing you have to do for detox to get it started, if you're not getting kidney filtration, and again, I have videos on this. What's now being done, thanks to Hildy Larson, is
Hildy's so awesome. Hey, Hildy.
she's one of the top detox specialists
Yes.
with Dr. Morse, and she pulled herself out of a chair. Right, she was in a
Oh,
wheelchair basically with complete rheumatoid arthritis. Was it?
Yeah, and she just put out her new book, or her book, and it's a great. Dr. Morris read it, and he was just like, oh my God, he's so happy for her.
Mm.
And she is somebody who, you know, when Dr. Morris talks about it, I know Karen Gordon is one, and there's definitely many more that I haven't mentioned who really have been to Hellville.
And they've been saved.
Like I haven't been to shit. Like, I mean, I've had my detox. I've definitely had some hard times. But when I hear stories about people unable to walk for days, or they hurt so bad they want to die. Like, I didn't have that. It seemed like Tim Van Orden had that. The guy I told you about before he became Superman. He had I think a couple months period where he was laying down and people were scared for his life. He goes, "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing," and then he wore a cape and he became Superman. You know, but it's like in Hildy, like some of these people have gone through some stuff, and you and me, Mark, are so lucky.
Well, I had
like,
the fibromyalgia. I was going down.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going down in my 40s, and
wow.
yeah, I'm gonna be 60 here in a few months.
Yeah.
And I just feel so blessed. I mean, I really thought, okay, I was 45 or something. I go, this must be what it's like getting older. I'm going down, I'm losing my flexibility. I won't be able to ski. I won't be able to surf anymore. But I was eating a standard American diet, and I was led to a doctor that had the wisdom to give me a blood test and a food panel, and put my Dr. Nancy Mullen, by the way, wonderful, and she said that basically your problems are all from food, and she was right. She wasn't at the level that Dr. Morse is at, and thank God I found him to take me up to higher levels. But she really started me on the journey to Wellville, and got a lot of the inflammation out of my body by cutting out the grains and the dairy. Those two things. If you guys have inflammation and pain in the body, get rid of the dairy for sure, number one, and get rid of the grains and get rid of the meat, and you know, in that's the journey there.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting is I'm sitting here right now and I'm feeling like hot. And like my lymph is moving, and we're talking about it. And a few.
You're an empath. You're moving people's lymph.
I'm telling you, I'm moving your lymph for you guys right now. I'm moving a lymph for you.
That happens, you know, with us people that focus on healing others.
They do. We
can
take it
on. Yeah, it's so true.
When I went a few years ago, I went to Sedona to do grapes. I got about 20, 30 pounds of Concord seeded grapes. Okay, when they were at their prime. I went to Sedona, Arizona.
The highest of the highest, the Concords.
The Concords.
Yes.
And then
I went seeded Concords.
And then I took Dr. Morris's herbs, the protocol I was on, and doubled them.
Oh, wow.
And I went to Sedona with grapes and with double of Dr. Morris's herbs.
Wow.
And I hadn't even ate one grape, and I hadn't even had one herb. And I started to cry. I started to sneeze. I started to sweat, because my body knew what was up. And when I got to Sedona, I started to do it, and I was going through it, and people on Facebook were rooting for me. And by the way, friend me on Facebook, Steve Factor on Facebook, and they were rooting for me, and I was like crying. And then after and I was going to go there for a week, and I went for 3 or 4 days, and something told me I was done. And I talked to Dr. Morris after that, and he goes, because of the work you've done, Steve, you are a quick detoxer. A quick detoxer, he called me.
Nice.
And so I can even detox thinking about moving the lymph for this, because the mind is that powerful, and I'm like the rawness. I just am there.
Yeah.
Like when people say stuff, I hear it. I'm in it. There's not like
you've embodied it. Yeah.
There's not like a block or I mean, I'm sure there's some, but not like...
Your detox will begin the minute you decide to detox. So that's it. Nasser is chiming in from Saudi Arabia, and he's on a great healing journey all the way there. And from my study, more sweating and less sweating, all relating to the lymphatic system.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and the lymph system is the sewer, is the bathroom, where the blood is the kitchen, or where we feed our cells.
Yes.
And so a lot of people are so focused on the blood We got to focus on the lymph. Move that lymph. Get rid of all 100 trillion cells eat and all 100 trillion cells poop.
3 times, some say 5 times bigger than the blood system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've observed 3 to 5 times bigger. It's gigantic. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's everywhere, but between every cell poops in it and gets rid of its acid. So it is the #1 thing to focus on. Yet, surprisingly, the medical industry pays very little attention to it. Don't understand that one.
Maybe because the medical industry is not healthcare, but sick care. If we could keep you sick as long as possible and take our medication, then we have a customer for life, and it's a longer life, a longer money stream.
That's it.
And to just go have fruit. But you know, to doctors' credits, or some doctors, more and more of the allopathic world are coming up and saying, have some more fruits and vegetables.
They are.
Your blood pressure's high, meditate. Some are saying that.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so we're having an awakening, an opening, a slowly that we can come back to nature. And
yeah, I don't put down doctors per se.
Yeah.
I put down the system. The system is built on commerce and business, and it's interested in the bottom line profit.
Yes.
You're interested in your health and being well. You know, but it's a good racket actually, because you know the food companies, you know, the pesticide companies are getting into the food business and this and that and patenting GMO food and all that kind of stuff, and then it makes you sick, and then you become into their system of their care. So they get you all the way around full spectrum. But you know, I just read something that there's hospitals now that are going non-GMO in the hospital.
Yeah.
And there's even organics in hospitals now.
Oh my God.
So the world is changing, and McDonald's has announced they're putting kale in their salads.
Oh my God.
So
Well,
the world is changing.
Guess what I just saw? And some of you might have seen it already, and maybe a lot of you haven't. Coca-Cola now has a green can. My friend posted. She said Coca-Cola, you're just not allowed to have a green can. You're just not allowed. It's just not okay. And they now have the word life on it.
Really?
They have a green, and they have the word life by Coca-Cola.
Wow. Is it still 3 pH acid?
It is the stuff that when a lot of police officers will bring a bottle of Coke in their trunk to put on blood stains at accidents to get the blood off of the street, because the Coke is the only thing that will be astringent enough to take that off.
Oh my God.
And you put a nail in Coke, and then look at the nail in a day or two, and what happened to the nail.
I hear they waterboard with it at Guantanamo. Is that true?
I don't know.
In other words, stay away from that stuff.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so all right. So S, who lives in Illinois, moving is my goal, not so much my husband's. But oh well, ha ha ha. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we have to make deals in life. You know, nothing's ever perfect, but do the best you can there.
Sure.
We have Rick Hopkins writing in. Should sediment be found in every single sample of urine collected? I don't see it every day. I see little speckles every day, but I don't see the big unloads of the lymph. Do you?
I haven't looked in a long time at my urine. For a while I was looking at it and detox and stuff like that, but it's really, I suppose to some level, some sediment, you know, like, because there's always some sort of detox that we want, but not all of us have that. Sometimes our kidneys won't filter, or Yeah, you don't have to have it every day, and it's weird sometimes. Like I've mentioned, you know, I'll have a cheat meal and I'll get a massive unload of sediment. So I'm still trying to put a database together, figuring out exactly how kidney filtration works, how those big sediment days come about. I know I was going to finish up with what Hildy is experimenting with. She has been getting good filtration for her and her clients by doing these mini dry fasts. No water, no nothing, no food, no nothing for 2 days, 3 days. Whoa. And getting the kidneys to really kick out some lymph. I just got a headache.
Yeah, so if you're having trouble, try that if you can. And once you get those kidneys kickstarted, I understand that you now have a lot more chances of filtering day to day. Okay, so Harry made a funny face. He likes our comment. Good. Raw intuition is he guys, nice thing. Raw intuition. Me too. Really skinny. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it'll come back. Just stay with it and don't listen to the critics. S. Me too. Super skinny. Was down to 108 pounds and I'm 5'7". Okay, so yeah, hang in there. Your body wants to go in like we're talking about and go deep in the body, go deep into the fat stores and clean the toxins out. And you know what? I'm just speculating that a lot of the weight too might be from an inflamed lymphatic system.
Yeah.
As you clean those obstructions, those got to weigh something, right?
Sure. And Doug Graham, the author of the 80-10-10, I believe he's about 5'7", and I believe he was down to 100.
100.
And he's a muscle man, and he's very yoked and in good shape. Does chin-ups and pull-ups, and he's like 60 something.
So he got down and
then he built back up.
Wonderful.
One of the things too is we need to look at our pancreas for excessive skinniness or thinness, and it talks about it again in the Dr. Morse book. And
lack of enzymes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pancreas not doing its job, and then we do not utilize and get enough of what's necessary.
Yeah,
and
it's
there's
a sign.
Yeah,
and
so,
malabsorption too.
Yeah,
if your GI tract is clogged, you're not going to absorb the nutrients. You got what's called mucoid plaque from eating all that wonderful white bread and that white flour pastas and those donuts and all those wonderful tasting things that just coat your gut.
Yes.
Remember in school we take flour and water and make paste, and we do the paper mache, come back the next day, this stuff was hard as a rock.
Right.
I mean, it was that, and that's what's living inside your gut if you've been a standard American diet eater, so you need to clean that out. You'll get better absorption.
Move that
Ash, one, is there a T? I only have been fasting 2 days, but I'm already getting more lymph. Will be adding lemons to the water take me out of ketosis? We're not trying to get you into ketosis. This is completely separate from ketosis. Ketosis is where you're actually metabolizing protein for energy. We don't do that. That's more of an Atkins thing, which we don't recommend at all. What you're doing is that stuff that's ending up in your urine is actually lymphatic waste that is being filtered by your kidneys. So adding lemons to your water will, like Steve mentioned, will actually move more lymph, and it'll actually be astringent and pull more toxins and things out. Hopefully the kidney walls too. So yeah, you're doing fasting 2 days. So I'm assuming it's not dry fasting. So you're doing water fasting. So like Steve said also, that I said, can you add lemons to your water fast? He says that won't be a water fast then. So there's different schools of thought on that, but lemons do move lymph.
Oh, for sure, and it's not to say that one is better than another. Dr. Morse has said top of the mountain water fast, and he's also has said, maybe it's fruit, and people react differently at different things, but the point is the body gets to rest in a water fast like more than anything, and when you have fruit, the rest is not as much, but you are moving the lymph more. So
it's a balance.
Yes.
It's a balance, yes. Okay, so Truth in Love, 1111, awesome, citrus ridiculous. Is that your term, or was it, we got?
Yeah.
It is in all the grapes, berries, lemons, and raw. Also skin brush and rebound. And someone said I shouldn't do that. I will check my thyroid. Also, thanks, guys. Yeah, don't do a lot of rebound unless you get kidney filtration, because you're just going to be moving a ton of lymph towards those kidneys, right? A ton of acids towards those kidneys, and maybe shutting them down even more. So yeah, be careful with moving too much, exercising too much until you get filtration. But you're doing the right things, and awesome. And then again, wow, you look great, Mark. I thought you were late 40s, early 50s. I'm 52, and I felt the same way until I started cutting out gluten, sugar, and dairy, meat-free for 17 years. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes on my good days, I feel like I'm going backwards in time, but I do have those days where I look in the mirror and go, "Who's that old guy?" But it definitely it slows the aging process, and it can actually reverse some things too. As you get more hydrated, the wrinkles will come out and things like that. But I really believe, as Dr. Morse does, that aging is really about, you're only as old as the acids you've accumulated. and that you can't detox.
Mm-hmm.
So as you really do truly youth as you alkalize deeper and deeper, and I feel I'm still on that journey and still doing it. And you know, Dr. Morse talks about, you know, some of the biblical figures living 800-900 years. He says, I see that possibility, no problem.
Yeah,
so I don't know, you know, there is the documented guy, of course, in China that lived to be 256, was it?
Yeah.
He was, born in 1750s or something. He died in the 30s, I think. But yeah, I always gave myself the number 108. It's a very Vedic number. I'm feeling I'm going 108 years. I did a lot of damage in my youth. I had countless Big Macs and all that. So I'm sure I'm not going to get to 900 years because of it.
Right.
But I think that you know, I'm planning on having a nice you know, aging process and not having to really suffer the tortures of the standard American diet.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that, and
sure.
to keep moving the lymph, because we are being bombarded by a lot of toxins. And chemtrails, geoengineering is a real thing. It is admitted to. The additives to the food are, of course, admitted to. The pesticides, herbicides, all that stuff. So yeah, keep moving those lymphs and you know, for the big win.
Yeah.
Hello from Arizona. Hi, Ashti. Welcome. Ashti, hi, Nasser. Ramadan is coming, and I will be dry fasting during the day and breaking my fast with grapes once the sun is down. Yeah, the Muslims are into fasting, so this should be easy. You know, it's a natural thing. Absolutely.
And I see a really awesome thing happening there. Like to be fasting all day long, and then at night you get the one meal and you just do a grape delivery.
Love it.
Like every time the sun goes down, just boom, and that's gonna like move the lymph. With that, I will suggest that you, if you notice, you'll probably eat the grapes, and that might trigger more hunger. So make sure you eat enough of them, and make sure also that you take your time before going to bed. You have your grapes early enough. I know the sun is setting later and later, but try to give some time for those grapes to digest and the sugars to kind of do their thing, and then go to sleep. Is the key.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. Good. Well, we're at 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I think it's time to call it in here. Thank you so much for all your questions, and it's been really great having Steve here, and we got so many things covered here, and I'm actually going to isolate a couple of things that Steve said, because I do have clients. Okay, it's just a horn. It's just a horn, sweetie. It's just a horn. I know you're a great watchdog. I do have clients that really need to get and stay on the highest of healing, the high fruit, the high grapes, and I thank Steve so much for that input. And to not fear the fruit, and not to fear, you know, maybe some extreme weight losses that will take you down to, you know, to looking a bit gaunt, and to hang in there and know that the body is really trying to clean you out at the deepest levels, and to remove these obstructions at the deepest levels, you know, in between the cells, getting down to that really finite level, and that your weight will return, and your health and vitality will return, and your appearance will return in a much better way. Much better way. Key point. Yeah. Yes. And to put your faith in that this is the right thing to do, and you know, and we'll have this video for your families to look at too, so they don't think you've gone bonkers, and rush you down to the Outback Steakhouse. Where are you going to get your protein? Yeah. One final question: where am I going to get my fats? If I'm eating fruit, where do I get my fats? They're in the fruit. I'm going to dry up. No, I'm going to dry up. There's no fats in the fruit. There is. Absolutely. Every natural food has 3 of the main macronutrients: carbohydrate, protein, fat. And some have more on the fat, some have more on the protein, some more on the carbohydrate. But those 3 make up the 100% of the food. There's always all 3 in them. And you mean a gorilla doesn't have to take a supplement of coconut oil?
He doesn't. Or
does it have to have a cod liver oil or what's the one they all do?
Right. Or
omega-3s. He's
right.
not supplementing omega-3s?
And he's not oil pulling? He's not oil pulling? He's not rubbing coconut oil all over his body for his beautiful self?
Yeah, you know.
Although those things are good.
We've come up with these crazy things that we think we need to have to live, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas nature has just said, hey, you know, I put the fruits up in the trees for you guys. You know, that's your food.
Thank you.
And that's really pretty much all you need. And yeah, we can add a few things you know, with the vegetable kingdom in order to make sure we're getting the mineralization and the full spectrum of vitamins and things like that.
Yes.
Because of the hybridization and the weakening of the soil, that's all good.
And avocados.
Avocados.
They have some fat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always talk about the Vitamineral Green by James Sheridan. It's a raw vegan full spectrum mineralization with all kinds of wonderful things. So anyways, thank you so much, everybody. You know, it's been really great, and I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope we helped a lot of people. We had, from the last show, we had over almost 600 people watch during the week. So these are getting out there, and I'm so happy about that. We're getting the lessons out there. Steve and I are talking about opening up a land-based clinic to help you guys out that are, if you're in the Los Angeles area, to come in and pick up your herbs and to get your eye photos taken.
Yes.
We have an iris machine, and to sit down there and meet us in person and get the inspiration.
Yes.
And Steve has promised to do some talks out of there and to make some food.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So we're in talks about doing that right now. So anyways.
And if you want a session, everyone's going to have to go through Bitsy.
That's right. Bitsy's going to be the arbiter.
If Bitsy says okay, then you get to have a session with us. But it's Bitsy that makes the final decision, don't you, Bitsy?
All right. So blessings of health to everybody, and stay on the raw and the fruits and berries and melons for the big win. Yes. And we will see you next week. And Steve has promised to come back.
Yes. Let's do this again. I love it.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Go get the tiramisu.
Oh, no, they're the one. Okay, the piece that I got for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
He made a
tiramisu.
Tiramisu. Mintsu.
Because there's mint in it.
And I got to tell you, I had a bite. I couldn't resist.
God.
I had to have a bite of this, and it tasted. It's down on the bottom shelf there.
Okay.
It tasted exactly like tiramisu, which is of course made with all kinds of white sugar and dairy and all that.
Let me see here. I mean, it's not the best presentation it's been in, but let me see if you guys can see that.
It doesn't look like much there. But I'm gonna have a bite.
Well, watch him eat it.
And this is just super.
This is it.
Super amazing. I mean, this is what do you say? Radonculous.
Raw amazing. Radonculous. Ridiculous.
Man, that tastes just like tiramisu.
Yes.
Yeah. What is in that?
Well, first of all, it's not a cleansing dish. It's definitely the more of the maintaining the raw and having fun food, and it's not something that it would be considered so helpful, though there are healthy properties in it.
It's not going to send me into a detox healing crisis.
It will not. It'll slow down the healing crisis, actually. But we have dates and pecans and cashews and almond butter and cacao and maca and mint and spinach and peppermint essential oil and sea salt and coconut nectar.
Oh wow!
So it's more fun food, but this is the bridge food. You know, and when people have this kind of stuff, whether meat eater or never want to be raw, they have that. They're like, oh, I don't care what this is or what you call it. It's just good.
So if I get down to 130 pounds, I can have that after I've done my full detox, right?
Yeah, we'll put you on the cashew cleanse.
All right,
which
everybody.
Is a joke, by the way.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and we're gonna see you next week, and we'll keep you posted on the clinic, the West Coast clinic here.
Yes.
And Bitsy says good night. She had a great time too, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So good.
That was fun. Hold on, let me shut this baby down here. 217.